Welcome, salutations, and all those other things here to everyone to this very special one shot, a nice little Nightmare Before Christmas.
God damn it.
He had to say it.
In which I am running Fate of Cthulhu, introducing these three to the Fate system, and just having lots of fun, just either driving them mad or making them crap their pants, one of the two. Fate is itself quite a fun little system, and our setting today revolves around an airship named the Icarus. Our erstwhile protagonists come from a place where the Industrial Revolution never really kicked off with diesel fuel or coal, and stuck around with steam, and now this alternate history, Europe, UK, has funded the creation of the Icarus, a very large airship, crewed and run by a large number of people, and each of you has your various reasons for being on this maiden flight. Dell, obviously, being the head engineer on the ship, has more reason than anyone to be here. Ashton was granted a ticket by a particularly grateful client he had helped in the past. And Doyle Bell was brought along as a sort of a friend of a friend type situation. Along with a couple other clergymen, as sort of an attempt to offer services for the people who were on the airship if they wanted them. And with that very brief explanation, I think it's time to get into the initial narration segment. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here over at the wharfs, covering what may be the most exciting news story of my radio career yet. I stand in front of the Icarus, the first flying ship made by mankind, going to take large numbers of people across the ocean, through the sky. Truly a momentous occasion. For those who have not been following the recent developments, the Icarus is approximately 300 feet long and houses just over 100 passengers. It's not only the first airship of its kind, it is one of the largest ships that we've seen built.
We're on a flying Titanic, folks.
You had to say the name, didn't you?
Yep.
Ay.
And as we just sort of cut to a few days later, as that was the broadcast playing the morning you took off. So far, you've been out almost a week. Nothing particularly notable has happened, aside from, of course, being in an airship. But on the day that our story really starts to unfold, you've all found yourselves in the common area of the ship where the bar is located. So at roughly this point, at the very least, Doyle would notice Ashton Marshall among the folks along the ship, on the ship. Ashton, what are you doing in this common room? Drinking, smoking, gambling, just schmoozing?
Oh, I have a cigarette lit, probably a glass of whiskey in my hand, and I'm mostly just socializing with people, going around, seeing if I can find any. I'm assuming I've probably been able to find at least one or two people who are on the more superstitious side to give them their fortunes and psychic readings and make a quick buck.
Yeah, you'd find your fair share of those sort of folk. Anything from people who actually believe in the supernatural to socialites that are willing to part with a bit of money for what they think of as a nice little giggle.
I think if I find anyone that's like willing to part with money for a bit of a giggle and is a little bit more seemingly on the gullible side, I'm gonna try to scare the shit out of him a little bit.
All right.
Give him a particularly bad fortune.
Oh, the setup. I'm waiting for the payoff now.
All right, yeah, you have a couple who, a bit off-put. They pay you to do a fortune, and you foretell doom and death and destruction kind of thing for them. But other ones, you just say some nice little platitudes, things that are generally true or that will probably come true anyway. So yeah, Doyle, you would, as you walk in, see Ashton doing this. Dell, why are you in this area? Are you working on the job? Are you taking a break?
Is that Dell or Doyle?
Dell,
Dell, okay.
which is Jacob.
He's here.
I was gonna say, is Jacob still here?
Yeah, he's definitely here.
I'm still here. Don't exactly like these functions.
All right, so you're at a mandatory meeting in the lounge. Got it.
Yeah, head engineer's gotta show his face apparently. Figure the boss is just trying to make use of the dang name though. Just gonna make the best of it. Get sauced.
All right.
At least keeps some modicum.
So, yes, Ashton would actually.
Yeah.
Let me have a thought. What do I want you to roll for this thing? Ashton, roll me a notice check. All right, superb.
Nice.
You notice two things. Firstly, in spite of him being in a very different context and get-up than when you last saw him, but you do notice Doyle Bell across the room as he walks in. But you also would recognize Dell as being one of the estranged members of the Hopkins family, who are quite well known for their business acumen, both in and out of London.
How much would I know about Dell?
Not too much. You would know that he was effectively disowned by the family for not wanting to go into the family trade and struck out on his own as an engineer. You would know that he was involved with the ship, but you wouldn't know to what extent. or what he was doing with it.
Okay. So not a great mark.
Yeah, probably.
I'll give a gesture of acknowledgement to Doyle and grab a drink off of a passing tray of a waiter and continue kind of just socializing around.
All right. Doyle, what are you doing? Now that you've walked in, you've done this sort of little nod from Ashton. Seems he recognized you in spite of the difference in time, context, and appearance.
As long as I would recognize him back, I would nod as well, but might take me like a second or two of like, who is that guy and why is he nodding at me? Oh wait, that's right. Beyond that, let's see here. Kind of taking in, surveying the room a little bit. It's like alcohol on one side, gambling on the other, and here's Doyle, this clergyman who's trying to be a good boy, and he's looking around like, oh gosh, I miss this. So there's a little bit of a longing in his eyes, but also a fair amount of almost obvious restraint from him, as he's trying to not get himself swayed by temptation, if you will. Eventually, at some point, he would give in a little bit and get himself a glass of some sort of good alcohol. Whatever they've got on deck, whiskey, rum, bourbon, whatever. Something along those lines, but only a small glass, and he'd more be walking around with it than actually drinking it. Like, he takes like a small sip like every 5 minutes or something like that.
All right.
If he gets a chance to overhear it all about the engineer guy in the area, he might actually drift over that way, as he's mesmerized by just the craftsmanship, the work that's gone into this ship, and would be interested in like trying to overhear how exactly the ship works.
All right.
Even if you can't really fully comprehend it.
You wouldn't really hear any conversation about it, but having come on the ship, you have heard of the head engineer, and it would be pretty obvious who that is in this room and that they would be here. So
It's the dude getting drunk at the bar.
yeah, having all this information, assemble in your mind this like picture of what this guy must be like, and you look over it, he's just completely sloshed at the bar.
I wouldn't say completely sloshed. Like I said, keep at least some modicum.
Okay, he's fairly sloshed.
There you go.
Wait
a second.
He is currently conscious.
Right. Having spotted this guy,
from him.
you hear a sudden clap of thunder. And the ship shudders as you hear rain pounding on the windows and the walls of the cabin. Most of the activity sort of comes to a natural stop at the sudden storm. The ship shakes a little bit and gives a sudden buck of movement. I need all of you to roll athletics.
Okay.
I'm great at that.
All right. I'm only good at it.
Wow, I did good.
Oh, wow, I must be more drunk than I thought.
Yeah, Ashton, you've got like your cane you use to stable yourself a bit. Doyle, you just sort of like use your previous athletic experience to keep from tumbling over. Dell just gets like rolled out of his bar stool.
Ooh.
He's on the ground now.
Fucking hell!
Dell, you would know, particularly since you were involved a lot with the engineering of this. This storm came on very suddenly, and it's very uncommon. So
Not good.
you're wondering what caused this sudden storm? What problems are you going to face going through it? Because you are in an airship in the middle of a storm, which is not the most enviable position. There's some minor panic among the some of the socialites. Eventually calms down as the ship stops bucking quite so much. We can see there's people that have fallen out of their seats, and drinks that have been spilled and glasses have been broken. But the ship seems to have, aside from the occasional shudder, leveled out for the most part.
I help some if there's anybody near me. I kind of help them back to their feet,
All right. You take
just
some
as a
time.
gesture of like goodwill, if you will. Yeah.
Yeah, you go over a couple people right next to you, fell over, and you sort of helping them up.
But I would also like to try to find either a window or, if necessary, step out onto the walkway or something like that and take a look outside if possible.
There are windows.
So while helping people up on my way to that window, I just try to get a good view of what's going on outside if possible.
Well, you can't see very far. You see the occasional flash of lightning and a constant stream of rain, but the whole thing's obscured by dark, dense clouds.
Does it look like we're in the clouds, if you will, almost? Or
Yes.
Okay. And it would just having been on the ship at this point, how high would we have gone with said ship? Is it something like we would be going into the clouds, or would we normally be only a couple 100 feet, if you will, off the ground?
Kind of depends. But currently you would know this initial flight started low, but climbed high fairly quickly. In actuality, you should be above most cloud cover.
Okay. Okay, so the fact that we're in the clouds is still very unusual.
As far as you're aware, yes.
Okay. That's it for me for right now. Anybody else?
So Dell is immediately getting his butt back up, and he's going to one of the communication ports to check in with the boiler room real quick.
They reporting no issues. Looks like the storm was unexpected, but the ship hasn't been hit by anything significant enough to cause any systems to fail. You would know, of course, that the airship has some conduits to try and redirect any lightning strikes around the hull.
All right.
Effectively connected lightning rods that let it just pass through without causing too much damage.
Yeah. All right. All right. Old Vigil. I'll be the old Vigil. Just give me a holler if y'all need me down there. I trust y'all.
Sure thing, boss.
Oh yeah, that's.
Ashton's gonna make his way over to the window next to Doyle after a couple of minutes and just kind of take a look out.
You notice the same thing, that the area directly outside is basically covered in dark cloud.
Like
get again the lightning
if I'm
sort of behind the clouds.
if I'm like looking out the window, and like if I
Right.
look like left and right, am I able to see any other like part of the ship?
No. You know that you normally wouldn't be able to see much, but it's so dense cloud cover that you can't really see more than a foot or two in any direction.
Okay.
Well, this is certainly unusual. I thought we were supposed to be above the clouds here.
There's many reasons we might be in the clouds now. Could be an relatively foreboding omen. Could also just be some higher clouds.
Money is on the higher clouds. Don't exactly believe in omens.
As you say this,
There's another person over here that's not.
Yeah.
That
Yeah.
was nowhere near where we were talking.
well, I assume
Made
that
his way
Dell
over here.
wandered over towards the windows and heard the tail end of your conversation. But as you say that you don't believe in omens, feel a sudden lurch.
I
And-
shouldn't tempt fate.
You get a sort of like a sick feeling in your stomach, particularly you, Dell, who recognize that this means a loss of altitude.
That's not good.
What was that?
It's a dark force pushing down on the ship.
No, it wasn't. It's just a minor loss of altitude, nothing more. I'm gonna make my way towards the boiler room, make sure everything's copacetic.
Keep your eyes peeled for any ominous forces acting upon us. This is dark tidings.
I'll keep my eyes open for what's actually real if you don't mind me.
Don't mind him. He believes more in, well, I guess you could say ghosts and ghouls than in the true spiritual beings that might exist.
Well, yeah, forgive me, Rev, but I don't exactly believe in those either.
Oh,
I'd rather keep my head. I'd rather keep my head in the here and the now and what I can have control of.
Keep your mind sharp. You might not believe in them, but they do believe in you.
Dell's gonna start making his way towards the engine and boiler rooms.
All right, dysfunctional fucking party.
Yep.
It's a wonderful dynamic.
This is...
But yes, Dell, as you start to head that way, you feel a lurch again. And you realize it feels like the ship is losing altitude again, and this time it's not stopping.
Uh-oh.
This is fine.
Ashton, believe me when I say, I might not know much about flying. This is not fine.
That was not in character.
It is now.
No, it's not.
But anyway, yes, Dell, you in particular would recognize, but everyone else, it's sort of started to panic around you as other people are realizing that the ship seems to be falling down.
Oh God, I hope we're over water.
You would almost certainly be over water to everyone's knowledge.
Does this thing float?
The head engineer you're trying to reach is currently not in the location.
You just turn and there's like a cartoon outline of him. He's already gone.
He's already on it, dude. Like I said, he meant what he said. He's on his way to find out the heck's going on.
Find out quickly. I holler down the hallway after him.
All right. So, Dell, you get over to the boiler room,
Everything is on
And-
fire.
No, actually, that's the weird thing. You get there, and it looks like everything's fine.
What the heck?
Go ahead and roll me craft.
Yeah,
Crafts.
that does not feel right.
Dark presence pushes down on the ship.
Why am I rolling so low these days?
Yeah, yeah.
Wow.
That was really
That's
bad. That was really bad.
yeah. You could.
You're rolling like Dan.
I was gonna say you could if you feel like it's important. Remember, you can invoke your aspects to get a +2 or a reroll.
I mean, I'm the head engineer. I should be able to see what the heck's going on.
Yeah, I mean that makes sense. So do you want to invoke your head engineer aspect in order to improve your roll?
Does that cost?
Yes.
Does that cost anything? That's a fate point, or
Yes, that costs a fate point.
is it important enough?
That's the question.
I feel it's important enough because we are losing altitude.
Are we?
Something is wrong.
The ship is
Alright.
falling out of the sky. Are you sure diagnosing the issue is important?
Are you sure it's falling out of the sky though?
That's the question.
I mean, we just lost altitude.
Did we?
I mean,
Sure.
looking out the window again, does it look like the clouds are shooting up past us?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We're definitely losing altitude.
You are in the first airship in existence, and it is currently falling.
Talk to me here, guys. What's going on? Yeah, I'm gonna
All right.
invoke it.
Okay, so invoking it, you lose this fate point.
Yeah,
It's gone forever.
Thank you.
For comic effect, are we falling fast enough that Ashton is floating?
No, but you do feel a lot lighter.
Can I swim through the air?
Not really, but kind of.
Awesome.
It's
Continue.
sort of like semi-moonwalk, if you need to. But yes,
Beautiful.
Jacob, would you like +2 to that roll or to re-roll the roll?
+2.
All right,
Get
that brings
get
it up to
a great.
great. Yep. Yeah, from everything you can see, some of your workers are running around looking at stuff, and you're not seeing anything wrong in the boiler room. Everything from there is getting good output.
Okay, and it doesn't seem like there's anything wrong with the engine.
No. Again, it seems like the output is fine, but you're still falling for some reason.
Gonna go to the communications port for the cockpit for the bridge. We're falling out of the sky, and everything down here is running as proper. What's going on up there?
You hear back. We're not really sure. From what we can tell, it seems like our ability to steer the ship at all has been sort of lost. We can nudge it a little to the left, but not otherwise.
Okay, running through my head on the how the ship has been built. We have lost steering, therefore we're on a steady decline. It's practically stuck on a steady decline with a possible lull to the left.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that is something that needs to get fixed quick. How do we fix that?
Ashton. Well, I'm assuming there's panic happening right now in the room.
Yes, large amounts of it. Yes.
What type of room are we in? Is it like a ballroom? Is it like what you would see on like a cruise ship for like a dining
More like
performance bar?
Yeah, more like a lounge and bar type area.
Well, everyone's panicking. This is fucked. Ashton is going to try to come up on the spot and try to perform some kind of ritual to lift this dark presence from the ship.
Okay.
Good Lord.
You're not here, you can't see
Well, I am thankful Doyle's not in the room because he would have called him an idiot.
it.
As Taylor tries to figure out what the fuck I should roll for this.
What are you attempting to achieve through this? Are you like actually believing that you'll get rid of Dark Force, or are you trying to fulfill some other objective by doing so?
I am bullshitting my way through a fox ritual, and as a player, hoping that some kind of random affinity for psychic phenomena might do something. If that costs me a fate point, let me know.
What should I have?
I broke
Okay.
Taylor, I am proud.
Roll Deceive.
Steve.
Fantastic.
Nice.
You are able to, start calling some people down, get some, candles that were there for mood lighting, some wine, some other things, put it together. You have one of the most convincing fake rituals ever made. That's the end.
Doesn't really do anything.
That's the end of that entire narration of that. You have successfully created a very convincing fake ritual. It's not doing anything though.
Good job.
Dell, it would occur to you that there might be something in some of the piping between the boiler room and the engine and the actual devices meant, the
in other words,
turbines for forward thrust and all that.
Yeah, gonna go and work on that immediately.
The problem there is that part of these systems run between the interior cabins and the hull of the ship.
Yep. There's still got to be an access port to get to it.
Yeah, it's just very inconvenient. And as you're heading towards said access port, which frustratingly, the closest one is on the other side of this lounge. You come back into the lounge. You see people panicking. Doyle is trying to help people, trying to pray with someone. Ashton is performing some sort of weird, freaky occult crap in the middle of the room. And just as you're about to speak up and say something, you hear a loud splash and splintering wood.
Ooh.
As everyone can see that the windows are now no longer have clouds rushing past, no longer have wind rushing past, and instead now have water outside of them.
Oh, that's not good.
That's a bad thing. The dark forces on this ship are too strong. I can't.
As you say this,
I can't
the
fight-
ship starts.
I can't fight them off.
As you say this, the ship starts rising because it is still made of wood and has a gas balloon.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
So
I'm just gonna get to the port.
mhm.
I'm letting them do whatever hokey shit they want to do.
All
That
right.
basically sums up what Ashton is currently doing.
Hokey
Yes.
shit.
Pretty much.
I was thinking it would be comical if Dell had been able to do something to fix the falling. If it just lined up in timing with Ashton performing the ritual.
Yes, that would have been amusing. But yeah, Dell, as you get over to the port and you throw the access door open
Mm-hmm.
and start to run it, you realize that there is a part of this plan that you did not think through very well.
Water?
Oh, no.
Yeah, no, the water starts rushing in through the door. And then, as the ship sort of like bobs back towards the surface, it lets up a little, but there's still, a considerable amount of the ship that's underwater.
Yeah.
And apparently
Nope, I
there's
didn't
a
get to it
hole in
fast.
the external
Didn't get
area.
to it fast enough. Just gonna have to just work through it quick as I can.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, by the time it sort of stabilizes, the door's not rushing water into the room anymore, but
It's full of water.
yeah, the stairs down are got about like 2 to 3 feet of water at the bottom.
No,
Enough room that you have air to, breathe if you want to go through the hallways or the access tunnels, but
nope. Going in. Got a job to
Alright.
do. Get it done.
Is the door closed now?
did you close the door behind you?
Yes, I'm closing the door behind me because I don't want none of these idiots following after me.
Okay,
I
the
meant,
door's
I
closed
meant the
now.
door to the outside in the water.
That was the door he was talking about.
Oh, okay.
The door. What I'm talking about, it's a door. It's an access door between the hole and the workings of the ship and everything.
There's parts of the ship working that are outside of like the general areas that people can go, but still inside of the hull.
Think of it like the Jeffries tube of the
Then-
Enterprise.
Yeah,
Wait,
and
So if there's a hallway that goes from one area of workings to another inside of the hall and water is rushing out, that means we've hit the
Hole in-
proverbial iceberg, so to speak.
well, more like a lightning bolt. But anyway,
There's a hole in the ship.
yeah, there's a hole in the ship. That's why their water was rushing in.
Okay.
Yep. He's gonna have to work on that too
And-
once things get moving.
Yeah, as you bob back up, the ship, you guys can see outside the windows are like only have a few inches of water on the outside now. As you can see the surface of this turbulent-looking water as the ship starts to like bob up, and Dell disappears into this hallway that is now not completely flooded.
Yep. All right, I'm just gonna make my way over to the issue and get it fixed.
Do you think we should go help him, Doyle?
I'm more concerned about possibly getting these people to the life rafts if necessary. Lifeboats if
Do
necessary.
we have lifeboats?
That's actually an excellent question.
Taylor, does
We're on
this
a
ship
ship.
have lifeboats?
I was thinking lifeboats of some kind, but
There would be
we're in the
li-
air.
Yeah, I was gonna say there would be like life rafts in case of a water crash.
Oh, okay.
Are there enough life rafts?
Is this the Titanic?
Is this the Titanic?
Okay, actually,
Only 100
I would
people
like
on the ship. You technically there should be.
so. Just to see if you paid a lot of attention during the onboarding process. Actually, roll resources to see if you know where the
One thing none of us
lifeboats
grab.
are.
All right.
It can be an important, skill to have is knowing where things are.
Fair for
All right. It would
Ashton.
cost a fair. It would cost a fate point to use any of my aspects, right?
Correct. But you can use them after the roll. Effectively, a little like, it looks like I'm going to miss an attack, but really, no. Actually, you just
Is
Doyle.
it because it was a lightning strike and not something that a random supernatural event could happen that you didn't charge me a fate point?
Yes.
Okay. Just checking.
can-
I'm trying to understand like the system as we go through the beginning
Oh,
here.
okay. No, see, what would happen is if it was something related to one of your aspects and it was something negative, I would give you a fate point.
Yeah, no.
That's
I'm
one of the ways you get fate points.
I'm talking about like when I was trying to do the ritual and it was like, well, I'm trying to bullshit my way through the ritual, but like a random psychic phenomenon, like as a player, a random psychic phenomenon might happen. Like
Okay.
that's why I was like, I was like testing. It was essentially just me testing the waters, trying to understand the system more.
Right.
And
So
you
what
didn't-
happened
and you
is
didn't
it
charge
makes
me a fate point, so I was like, is it something
No.
that it wouldn't have affected either way?
Well, here's the thing. Typically, your aspects are true in general. Invoking is just using the power of fate to change the narrative a little bit. So since you rolled a 6 anyway, because you already have a great deceive skill, you don't need a fate point to make it better. So, you know,
Okay,
the fact that you are a
inter-
phony psychic investigator is enough in that case.
See,
The fate points are just for you to...
See, I was doing that in reference to phony psychic denouncer, having a high affinity for psychic phenomenon, which is why I was confused when you didn't charge me a fate point. For anyone who's watching this after the fact or live and is confused, we've never played Fate before other than Taylor. We're trying to test the system and see how it works.
Right. So,
I
in
thought,
this particular
I thought you were
case,
having me roll deceive with relation to, like, something like normal paranormal, but I don't know exactly how it works.
I don't think normal paranormal would apply in this.
I didn't think it would either, which is why I was expecting, like, to have to roll will, and you had me roll deceive.
Mm-hmm. No, the thing was, you were trying to effectively construct a fake ritual. And deceive is for passing off falsehoods as truth, or misleading people, or etc., which is kind of what your character is very about. Invoking would be something like, if you did that and you rolled like a 2, and you're like, oh, I don't think that's good enough, but it makes sense that I would have an even better chance than normal because I am a phony psychic denouncer, so I think I should be able to use it.
Or a convincing bullshitter, yeah.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think it would make narrative sense that I can, you know, get a boost from fate, from invoking this aspect, more than it just, you know, being true. It's having it be very applicable to this situation in a way that mechanically benefits.
Yeah, I feel like the way I was trying to do it was using phony psychic denouncer, and you were doing it as, like, convincing bullshitter or phony psychic investigator, and I didn't understand that.
There's also the fact that you can mention a aspect and say that this is why I think this makes sense narratively. That's fine. It is different from spending a fate point.
Well, yeah, that's why I mentioned what I, as a player, was trying to do. And then I was confused when it didn't cost me a fate point.
It's a flexible system, yeah. But
yeah, no,
you rolled a 6.
Again,
it wouldn't cost a fate point to...
Well, again, it was what I as a player was thinking, as opposed trying to learn the system still.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's fair. But, you know, I will try and remind you guys what would be good times that would make sense to use fate points, specifically. And I will definitely let you know if I try to give you a fate point through a compel.
Okay.
But yeah, Dell, you're currently in, like, waist-deep water, wading over to some pipes that you can now see have sort of split open a bit and are leaking steam and water. Ashton, you performed this ritual in the hopes that maybe it would, you know, do something. And what happened is the boat went into the water and then bounced and then bobbed back up a bit. And now you guys have obviously had some sort of water landing.
I'm barely able to keep us afloat. It's taking all of my power. Would it have made more sense if I had said I was trying to... I'm trying to figure out the system here still. Would it have made more sense if I had said specifically that I was trying to, like, invoke phony psychic denouncer to cause some kind of, like, a psychic phenomenon to happen to stabilize the ship? Because that's what the goal was.
Yeah, I misunderstood that on my end, but let's see, where's the aspect and fate?
Because the whole thing with phony psychic denouncer is that I don't believe in the supernatural. But I explain stuff away with psychic reasons, but he has a high affinity for, like, a psychic and supernatural phenomenon to occur around him.
Alright. Invoking aspects. The primary way you're going to use aspects in a game of Fate is to invoke them. If you're in a situation where an aspect is beneficial to your character somehow, you can invoke it. In order to invoke an aspect, explain why the aspect is relevant, spend a fate point, and you can choose one of these benefits. +2 on your current skill roll after you've rolled the dice. Reroll all your dice. Pass a +2 benefit to another character's roll if it's reasonable that the aspect you're invoking would be able to help. Or add +2 to any source of passive opposition. If it's reasonable that the aspect you're invoking could contribute to making things more difficult for someone.
Okay.
It doesn't matter when you invoke it, but usually it's best to wait until after you roll to see if you're going to need the benefit.
Well, yeah. Well, I was trying to explain what I was trying to do, and I apparently didn't do a very good job of it.
That or I didn't do a very good job of understanding it, but
But I was trying to explain what I was trying to do beforehand, in case it would cost a fate point and would have changed what I had to roll. Which is why
I was trying to get a sense of what you were attempting to accomplish. Sometimes, a lot of the time, actually, you're going to be able to accomplish things without spending any fate point.
That's fair, but then again, it's why I was confused when you had me roll deceive, which is why I mentioned earlier, like, oh, you might be having me do this with something with normal paranormal, but I wasn't sure. But no, it was a confusion of what I was trying to accomplish versus what you interpreted as me as trying to accomplish.
Right. And typically, I think you can spend fate points to invoke an aspect in a way that's centered around your character, but I think that particular usage probably would have gone outside the scope of that.
Outside the scope? Okay. No, that's... again,
like,
trying to learn the system and what fucking works.
There are instances where invoking a aspect lets you change things narratively.
Well, that was about my understanding of what they do. So,
right. Like Dell has troublesome family, so I could compel and be like, you didn't realize it before, but your first cousin is on the ship causing trouble for you or something. It can change the narrative, but you have to specifically sort of frame it that way. But in any case, continue and learn as we go along. Dell presumably wants to fix this. Doyle, I don't even know what you're doing. Ashton, not sure what you're doing after that whole thing.
Well, we were trying to figure out if we remember where the lifeboats are at.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what happened before whatever just happened.
Questions about the system and just trying to understand stuff.
Right. So, both of you would remember that there are lifeboats located some of the upper areas of the crew cabin and passenger cabin. Well, crew and passenger cabin are directly beneath an access point for the lifeboats. Going from here, maybe up a flight of stairs or two, it wouldn't take you more than 15 or 20 minutes to get over there.
Okay.
It's a big ship.
Are there ship hands still in the room with us?
There's not like ship hands in the room with you. There were waiters and such who are in the room who are now like either cleaning things up or helping people or panicking.
Oh, so they're not like cruise ship waiters that are like trained to be like part of the staff in the case of an emergency.
Right, they're not staff members, basically, is what I'm hearing from him. Yes.
Yeah, they're not crew of the ship. They were hired for this.
I'm glad I'm not crazy. Dad and I both had the same
Yes.
initial thought pattern there.
All right. I go over. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I go over to Ashton while he's still doing his oogie boogie hand wavy stuff, and I smack one of his hands down. Ashton,
I'm not doing that anymore.
Oh, okay. Ashton,
I've told people like, it's all I can do to keep the ship afloat. It's too strong.
Ashton, over here.
Yeah, I'll go help Doyle.
I'm gonna go check and see if the way to the lifeboats is still open. You stay here and just try to keep everybody as calm as possible. You had some success with whatever that was back there. I'm not certain how comfortable I am with that myself, but you know, good on you. All right. Unless you want to come with me or something, but I almost would feel better if we had somebody watching over everybody here before they panic and make things worse.
Oh, I'll do what I can.
All right. And with that, I'm going to start making my way towards the lifeboats to check and make sure that the route is clear and everything. And if I see any ship hands, trained crew members and whatnot, I'll let them know, hey, you've got a parlor full of panicky people. Maybe somebody should get down there and get onto that, on top of that.
Yeah. As you head up, you do notice after you go up about 2 flights of stairs and start heading towards where the lifeboats are, there are deckhands running around trying to get people towards the lifeboats. Seems like they just started from the top and are going down.
Okay.
From what you can tell, it seems like most of them don't know really what's going on. They're just trying to prevent panic and get people to lifeboats, and B, there's not too many lifeboats left.
Can I try to can I try to gather people's attention to me in the main room, in the lounge, like try to calm them down and get them following after where Doyle went?
Okay. What approach are you using to do that? Like,
I'm assuming
just trying to get everyone's attention and say, hey, everybody, stay calm. There's lifeboats. Let's go.
Yeah, I'm assuming, and correct me if I'm wrong, but with my role, like, a lot of people had, like, noticed what I was doing before, had like, started to calm people down, would have heard me be like, oh, like, this is, like, too strong of an ominous, like, malicious presence, like, I can't fight it off myself, like, you know, we need to, like, folks, like, let's stay calm, like, we need to, like, get everyone up to the upper decks now.
All right. Yeah, go ahead and give me a rapport roll.
Okay.
Okay. Yep. You're able to get everyone mostly calmed down, start filtering in that direction. Doesn't seem like your attempt went wrong in any way, but it also wasn't absolutely fantastic. So you just sort of have guided these people, and they're starting to go up the stairs in varying rates.
Yeah, upon seeing the lifeboats all start to come back, and seeing people already working their way up, try to kind of fight against the salmon stream a little bit, but get back and start helping Ashton as much as possible. With just trying to reassure people, but also convince them to start moving towards the lifeboats.
Mm-hmm. All right. Meanwhile,
back to you, Dell.
Dell, you have
back to the only person who can actually do something about any of this.
Yeah.
the good news is you have found the problem.
Yeah, Jacob.
Yes, Dell, you have found what caused the issue that is preventing the steering. There is a pneumatic tube that appears to have been blown out by a lightning strike.
Yep. All right. Do I have a replacement, or is there a way I can work this around?
Uh,
I think that's the bad news.
yeah, the bad news is you don't really have much of a way to deal with that. There's the hole in the outside of the ship, which obviously is an issue, but the bigger issue is that enough of this section of pneumatic piping was blown out that you don't have, like, just parts on hand to fix it. It would take a decent amount of time and effort to effectively either cut some existing pipe to fit it or find some way to repair it. And the other issue with that is that as the boiler room is still working fine, it is spewing steam out.
Ooh.
Of course. Lovely.
We're in the water. Do you need the boiler room on still?
Doesn't just like, oh, I'm just going to turn the boiler room off on my way out. I'm sure all the fuel that's already still in there powering it is, just going to turn off too.
Did I have enough foresight to make kind of like shut-off valves for redirecting, the flow of steam?
Maybe. Go ahead and roll me craft
Ooh.
for a retroactive narrative.
Come on.
Fair.
You got a 2. This could
Not rolling well.
This could be a good opportunity to invoke and say, as the head engineer,
I
would
did.
have, I would have,
Fuck yes, I would have.
I would have had the foresight to do something like this. So yes, go ahead and spend me another fate point if you want to bring it up to a 4.
I have no
Or
idea how to
re-roll.
remove these.
You click on them and you hit the delete key. Yay. Okay. So, Dell did in fact have the foresight as the head engineer, as something that he has done in the past, just have put in safety shutoff valves.
Yep.
The one closest to you is currently underwater.
Let's time to dive.
It's not far underwater. It's just that it's going. You
Going
can't
to
really
be
turn
deep.
it without dunking yourself.
Yeah, and I don't care about that so long as I can shut it off.
All right.
Dell is one of those. Okay, it's gonna be sucky ass work, but let's get it done.
All right. So you duck under the water, turn the shut-off valve until the steam stops coming out, and just as you are popping back up above the water, a wave hits you in the face as the storm is causing more and more turbulence in the water. And you can see also that some of the lifeboats have put out from the ship.
Ah, damn it. Who gave the fucking call to abandon ship?
Not I. I was just getting people there.
Yeah, it was your crew. We're just assisting.
Is there a communications pipe nearby?
Yes. Underwater.
Saw that coming.
Okay.
That was the GM
Well,
saying, "Fuck you."
So
Yup.
pretty much we are officially grounded. We're gonna need to switch from pretty much. Okay, second question: have I made the foresight to be able to easily make it where we could switch from in-air steering to in-water steering?
That would operate on the same system as the pneumatic pipe that you need to fix still. Speaking
Okay.
of grounded, though,
Oh.
you all collectively, Ashton and Doyle, as you finish helping these people up towards the lifeboats, as you're starting to get into one yourself, Dell, as you're looking out, thinking, crap, why did we make it on the same system? Why didn't we make it redundant? You all hear a very loud crashing noise and what sounds like cracking timber. And I'm going to need all of you to make me another an athletics roll again.
Oh, yay.
Oh no.
Fuck a duck.
Good!
What the f-
Oh!
Jacob, you need
4
to fix.
minuses.
You need to
Wow.
fix roll 20 like now.
What the fuck, game?
I didn't do any better.
I did.
I'm in the fucking water too. This is gonna be fun.
Yeah,
It's like
you're
a
dead.
1 in 80 chance or something. Anyway.
Yeah, just don't fall unconscious.
Oh.
Yeah, all
thanks
right.
for that.
So Ashton is able to keep his footing inside of the lifeboat as it is thrown out of its harness and forward into another wall of the ship. Doyle, not so much. Yeah. You manage to stay in the boat, so you take somewhat less, bruising and such than Doyle, who just, gets catapulted out of the boat into a nearby wall,
Ooh.
instantly going unconscious.
Oh,
And
not bad.
Dell, who, unfortunately, by some timing, was thrown forward into the pipe, still kind of hot, but very much made of metal, as you immediately are knocked unconscious as well and start sinking into the water. You come to within a few seconds, but you've got a nasty bruised goose egg burn on your forehead.
Well, I'll pull Doyle into the raft.
Am I still unconscious, or is it just like a
Uh,
second or two of I get knocked out and dazed?
You would come back to after a few seconds, but you still feel very dazed.
Okay.
Interestingly, Dell, as you come back, and the other two might also realize this. Actually, Ashton and Doyle, roll me notice.
Notice. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, my gosh, just not having any luck right now.
Yeah. Doyle, you're still stunned, so it doesn't really occur to you. Ashton, something feels off, and as you think about it for a moment, you realize the ship stopped. Dell, you, having access to a hole in the hull, would see, to your incredulity, the ship has run aground. And is now effectively crash landed on a beach.
Well, this is certainly better than being in open water.
Note to self: next time, if I want Silent to hate me, make it a submarine.
I will kill you.
You wouldn't know that yet, Ashton Doyle. Ashton would just know that the ship has stopped for some reason. Like, you can't feel the force of its movement anymore, which you become accustomed to, so it's almost like a vacuum of feeling. Dell can literally see the shore.
Now, to be clear, we're inside the lifeboat, but we're still on the Icarus, correct?
Right. You haven't, cast the lifeboat off yet. There's a whole pulley system that brings it out to the sides when it's necessary. You just haven't gotten the chance to do because you got smacked into a wall.
Do I take a stress marker for that?
No.
Okay. So it's a minor effect for right now, if you will, basically.
Right.
Okay.
In fact, now's a good time to make an aspect. Let's just say that you are lightly dazed. And give that to you right there.
Yay. I'm lightly dazed. This is not good.
And you know what? Let's just make a copy of that one for Dell as well, because that can be sent.
Mm-hmm.
There we go. You all have extra aspects now. Aren't they great?
I don't like this.
Right. All right. So yeah, no, you've landed somewhere.
Okay, so now, just for my reference, exactly how lightly dazed am I? Am I to the point where I'm like not really all coherent as to where I am, or is it just like, ooh, there's a ringing in my head? We were trying to abandon ship. What's kind of my mental status, if you will?
You're a bit discombobulated and disoriented from head injury, but not bad enough to be like a concussion or something more serious.
Okay. So after a moment or two, I'd be able to start like thinking as I would normally, if you will.
Right. You got a bit of a headache, maybe a bit scatterbrained, but nothing severe.
Okay. So, I'm not going to note the fact that we have stopped necessarily. But, I will say, let's try to get this lifeboat launched. Wait, wasn't there? What about the lead engineer? Is he still on the ship?
Is everybody, including the crew, getting off the ship?
Yes.
I believe so. He's heading down to do something.
I gotta, and I kind of stumble out of the lifeboat and
You
start
stumble
going.
You stumble out of the lifeboat, and Ashton just kind of like puts like one of his hands on your arm, the other hand around your shoulder, and just kind of gently turns you around and sits you down in the lifeboat.
We gotta find the engineer.
You help these people. I'll go take a look for the engineer.
All right. We'll keep the lifeboat waiting for you.
I'll go.
Speaking of the engineer, you would notice, and Ashton would notice on his way back down to look for you, it's not raining anymore.
Oh, that's lovely.
There's still a very heavy fog in the area, but it's no longer a downpour or a lightning storm.
Okay, that's disconcerting.
Fucking ocean weather.
That belongs there now. The aspects listed by me are aspects of the situation or setting, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
You guys can invoke them, but so can I.
Mm-hmm.
Ah, okay.
And, of course, again, only when it would make narrative sense. But, yeah. Dell looking out. More visibility than when the storm was active. You can see about 50 feet out in any direction before things start getting swallowed up by the mist. You can see the waves on the shore gently lapping against the sand as the ship has run aground and there's bits of timber sticking out. There's holes and tears in the lining on the balloon section of the ship.
Mm-hmm.
And no, it just sort of generally does not look great.
Great. And we are seeing land.
Well, sand. You presume it's connected to land in some way, but you're just barely able to see it, so you're not sure whether it's like a sandbar or a full island or something.
Are Doyle and the others too high up to see it?
The area with the lifeboats doesn't have windows. It does have like port openings that you would get for the lifeboats to go out. So Doyle would also notice that the weather has stopped, but doesn't have a good angle to see the land.
Okay.
Ashton would be able to, if he was, looking out the windows as he passed by on the way to where Dell went. He might also be able to see some.
I'm sure he'd look out a window at
Yeah.
some point.
You'd be able to see glimpses of land. Of important note is that, as far as any of you knew, this airship was flying to America, and you should be nowhere near there.
I mean, do we get turned around, maybe?
Doubtful. I'd have to.
So
Yeah.
Ashton is thinking it's probably just some random fucking island in the middle of the ocean.
Yeah, maybe.
That's probably more likely, yeah.
But he is still making his way down towards wherever it was Dell was going.
Right.
Don't
So, yeah.
Don't go down there.
You are, yeah, as you reach to open the door, it opens from the other side. Dell stumbles a bit as he walks out.
Stay back. Yeah, god damn it. Fuck.
Well, we've reached land, which is better than being in the middle of the water. Let's get you up to the lifeboat area so we can get you lowered out.
What do you mean lifeboat area? Did the captain call to abandon ship?
Do not know what the captain has done, but all the other members of the crew were getting people to the lifeboats and setting them out.
That's all I need. All right, come on. Hey, do I see the members when we get to the area? Do I see the crew also getting people to the lifeboats and whatnot?
By the time you get there, there's only one lifeboat left with Doyle and, like, one other person.
Appreciated. God damn it, how'd this go so wrong?
There's a small poem I'd like to recite for you. Wouldn't you like to know?
Something,
The end.
something, ominous presence. Something, something, dark forces. Something, something, lightning.
I need to see the captain as soon as we get to shore or something.
All right. I'm assuming that you guys go to shore.
Yes, I assume we use the pulley system on the lifeboat, hop in it, and use it as like a makeshift elevator down.
Wait,
Effectively, yes.
How long was I out for?
Roughly 2 or 3 seconds.
How are we already at land?
Because we hit a beach.
Did we drift back to England?
It's probably an island. I mean, England is technically an island. This is probably a mysterious island in the middle of the ocean that we were directed to.
I'm too dazed to even respond to that right now.
Perfect. That is what I'm hoping for. I don't say that out loud.
All right. Yeah, getting onto land, which is very close to where the boat touches down. You see deckhands and other people helping people out of the lifeboats. There's some injured. Looks like some people died during the crash as well. You can see them sort of off to the side. Dell, one of the deckhands approaches you. Sir.
Yeah, go ahead.
I think, well, see that something happened with the ship, but I think you should know the captain and first mate both perished in the crash. and you're one of the.
You're trying to tell me I'm in charge, aren't you?
Not in charge as such, no, but what's the better way to phrase it? You're one of the higher-ranking members of the crew now. We, without the captain or the first mate, it's either you, Madame Orly. Sorry, lit
What do I?
words.
Uh-huh.
Madame Orly is the head nurse of the ship.
Okay.
Or, you know, there's not really a great deal of rank among the crew.
Uh-huh. We better go. I'll get together with the madam. We're probably gonna need to get a handle on this situation before some idiot tries to take control. Let's go meet with her. Dell's gonna make his way over to Madame Worley.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Doyle will start administering last rites.
All right.
Kind of help him try to get his focus back and whatnot, doing something that's that he knows well enough.
Mm-hmm. The other thing you guys would notice.
Well, Ashton was heading down to go meet Dell. Did he have a moment to swipe a whiskey bottle from the lounge?
Sure.
Cool. I'm a drink.
The other thing that you guys would notice is the ship was designed to hold a rather large number of people, but there's only about 20 to 30 people on the beach, not including the people who died, which definitely do not account for the difference there. It seems many of them either just disappeared or were lost at sea.
Not good.
As I drink, I will explain to the people around me how these ominous forces like to take people. They vanish. But I can protect them.
I wish I was close by to tell somebody to shut the kook up.
Well, you're not. But I can protect them.
Most of them look pretty dubious about the dark forces thing, but otherwise just seem to be going about with, survival stuff.
Is there at least one or two people that are buying it?
I mean, it seems like there might be, but they're also, getting people to shore and organizing and going over, supplies. There's a couple of crew members that have started taking a boat back and bringing out supplies that were not ruined in the crash, basic survival stuff.
Well, if there's at least one or two people that are buying it, I'll attempt to utilize them to convince the rest of the people around us and use that convincing to start to organize people to work.
Are you forming a cult?
I'm not going to say yes, but I'm not going to say no.
And cue the facepalm.
But
Right.
I am gonna use my malarkey to get people to do shit that needs to get done.
I mean, okay, yeah, you're gonna the one or two people that believe what you say, you sort of helping to organize them. Some of the other people seem to be slightly annoyed or disbelieving in what you're saying, but also realize that you're trying to organize people to do stuff. So they just let it slide. those people that believe you are probably the ones that would just panic and be a problem anyway, so...
Yep.
Alright. Yeah, no, that makes narrative sense. I'm not even going to make a roll for that. There's always a person or two. No, that just makes enough sense, and, like, you would be rolling against a very, very low difficulty anyway, so...
There's always one or two people that will believe it, and with enough people saying it, you can more or less gaslight other people into helping out and getting stuff done.
Using the power of bullcrap for good. Okay.
Basically
yeah,
summarizes
Dell,
my character.
you are brought over, and some nurses are tending to wounds, but it appears that Madam Worley has effectively taken charge of the situation. She's you. Ah, good. Do you have any idea what might have happened here?
Yeah, that lightning, that first initial lightning strike that jostled us blew out one of the main pneumatic pipes for the steering. Got us stuck in a decline all the way down to the sea. Fortunately, there's just not enough time to fix the situation before we hit ashore.
Do you think that perhaps you could work on fixing it while we're here? I think we have enough supplies for a while. It was designed, it was intended to feed a much larger number of people, but I don't think we can stay here indefinitely.
Nah, we'd need to be able to get our way back at the very least towards England, even if it's just using it as a ship as itself. I agree with you on that part there. The problem is piping. I don't know if we have enough piping without having to take it out of anything non-essential. I'd have to go over it with any of my crew that might have survived or made it here.
Roll notice for me.
Yep.
Ah, good.
For once, I roll well.
Right.
Well enough.
Finally.
You do notice that there's only one person here that looks like they were from the engineering crew.
And I might only have one guy. What would his name be?
Johnson.
Johnson. Good to see you made it out. What happened to everybody else?
I'm not sure, boss. There was some sort of issue with the boiler, they were saying. That it kind of maybe boiled the water around it when the ship flooded.
Yeah, sounds about right. It's probably shot.
I don't know where everyone else is, but anyone that was in there probably
Wasn't Dell in there?
gone.
Dell
No, he was in a different part.
Dell originally went to the boiler and engine rooms to check, but at that time we were still in the air.
Mhm.
Yeah, I was gonna say, like, I thought Dell was in there. Is Dell a ghost?
He was.
By the time we ran water and flooding happened, Dell was at the access port, going to try and fix the problem with the steering to get us back in the air.
Okay.
Problem is well, now we're kind of stuck seabound, because if the boiler boiled all the water around it, something may have popped in the boiler that is going to require further repairs, or it's possibly even shot. Because you got to remember, hot metal suddenly meeting cold water, suddenly that breaks steel, dude.
On the plus side, we have some boiled meat.
I was gonna say, and a bunch of your crew got boiled like lobsters.
Yeah, that's very possible.
We have cooked rations.
I mean, the ship does have emergency supplies for the intended amount of people on it for a very long time. Some of it might be waterlogged, but even a fraction of it would keep you guys good for effectively months.
Johnson, you and I are gonna have to go on ahead and get back to the ship here soon and take a look at what we can salvage and see if we can't keep, at the very least, get it seaworthy. So, how well are you feeling, kid?
Honest boss, not thrilled about the situation, but I'm physically well enough we can try and figure things out.
All right, let's you and me get back. Let's you and me grab one of the lifeboats and get back over to the ship. Give it a top to bottom, see what we can figure out.
All right, so that's what Dell is doing for the foreseeable future.
Yep.
And
After Ashton's gotten
right,
kind of the people around him kind of working on, like, getting, like, anyone that needs, like, treatment to, like, one area, like, any supplies we can start salvaging, like, bringing them up and whatnot. He's gonna make his way over to Doyle. Well, we're in a bit of a right predicament here.
Before answering that, I had a couple of questions myself, being that I'm assuming enough time has passed.
Yep, go for it.
So, taking a look around, eventually Doyle would kind of be able to gather in that a fraction of the people are here on whatever this beach is. I'm assuming we still think it's just a beach, possibly even just a sandbar.
no one's really explored very far at this point. Yeah.
Right.
That's what I was getting to, but
However, aside from that, I'm also going to guess, so correct me if I'm wrong, that we only have like maybe 1, 2, maybe at most 3 lifeboats, and that the missing rest of the passengers and crew are on other lifeboats that had set out roughly the same time as us, correct?
The other lifeboats were already gone, mostly by the time you got out.
Oh, okay.
Or actually, by the time you got up to the lifeboats. Large portion of the people here are actually ones that you helped to the lifeboats.
Okay.
They were the last ones to get out. They were the closest to the shore when the ship crashed.
Okay, so those people have made their way to here by now. Have already made their way to here. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
largely.
Gotcha. All right, so Doyle, still kind of nursing his injured head, turns to you, Ashton. Do we know anything about the situation? Where we are?
well, not as of yet. I was actually coming over to ask for a hand. If you're amenable to it, try to get a lay of the land of the area. Well, they kind of nod over at the people who are working. They kind of get everything set up. The crew tries to figure out what to do with the ship. We can head out and try to figure out what exactly is, well, where we are, how big the island is, if it's an island, if it's a sandbar. Try to get a lay of the land, so to speak.
We should let one of the deckhands know before we go wandering off so that they know who's gone and where in general they've gone. A good idea to make sure we keep communication as open as possible right now.
Side note, streams down.
Yeah, I know, I see it. Well,
Quick
I'm
pause.
not opposed to that. No, we're in the middle of a game and I'm just ignoring it.
It doesn't seem to be coming back up.
It is back up already, so
There we go.
No, like I said, I'm just ignoring it and continuing.
Right. Anyway, so
Find a deckhand and let them know that Ashton and I are going to have a look around and see if we can get a lay of the land.
Sort of, just, be careful. We'll come looking for you if you don't make it back.
Don't worry. You'll be able to find us easy enough. Just follow the loud sound.
What?
And that's all I say.
Yep.
Unless you're dead.
All right, so, well, Dell and Johnson are exploring the ship and trying to get it repaired. The other two of you are going exploring. Yes? Where, how, why, etc. What are you doing to try and explore?
I'll be right back, guys.
No worries. My first thought would be we'd walk along the beach for a little while to see how long said beach is.
Yeah, I think
Possibly pace up and down.
No, I was
Which
gonna say,
direction?
I think the first thing Ashton would do is see how deep in the beach goes. If it like ends up into like an actual island, or if it is just like it's just continuing beach and then more beach and then more beach and then more beach. And if there is like an actual like break line where it goes from just like a sand beach into like a proper island, like start to just like walk around on the beach, keep an eye, like try to be in a position where he can see the water on one side, and if there is an island, like an actual like line where it's like becomes an island, see that on the other side, unless the fog is too thick.
The fog's thick enough you can see about 30 to 50 feet, depending on where you're looking at. So, which
So I guess
plan are you guys going with first?
Well, I guess first, is there just if I go inland a little bit, like away from the shore, is there like actually a line where like it's like, you know how if it's like if you're at a beach, like eventually you start having like brush and like some trees and more dirt than sand.
If you're trying to keep the shore in sight, then you don't get far enough to find anything like that. If you keep going a little bit, you would find a part where it starts turning into from sand into almost gravel, rocky area with some scrub brush on it.
All right, I'll call out to Doyle. Looks like it does turn into a proper island. We have at least some scrub brush here. If you want to stay closer to the shore, and I'll stay closer to the gravel, we can try at least to do a circuit, or at least start making our way in one direction and try to at least gauge how large an area we're on.
Can we see each other from where we are right now, basically, or?
If you moved up to where you could see him, and you'd still be able to see like the edge of the shore, the transition area, at least where you're at, is close enough that you could keep an eye on him and the shore, although not the best visibility because it is about 80 to 100 feet in from the shore, and you can only see about 30 to 50 feet.
That was the
Right,
goal.
okay.
Like if he positions himself a little ways inland, can see the shore and me, and I can see him and the island, like proper, like the break line.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so yeah, I would say that I'd be okay with giving that a shot. And yeah, we'll just start heading. What was the direction that Silent said we were heading in?
Yeah,
Did we
do you
pick
want to
one,
go
really?
Yes.
one way or the other, left, right?
One of them.
I'd say left.
And just to clarify, I want to make sure we're all on the same page here. If this is the shoreline, and this is the boat, this is left, right?
Yes.
Yep.
That would be
Okay, just wanna make
my
sure
my belief.
on the same page here. Okay.
And
Uh,
we're positioning so like
Oop.
if this is the shore and this is like the like where the gravel and the shrubs begin, uh Doyle is like here, Ashton is like here.
all right, yeah. You guys start, walking parallel to the shoreline, trying to keep an eye out for anything interesting or notable. You see a bit more scrub brush. Ugh. You go a bit further. 5 minutes pass. 10 minutes.
Are we still going in a straight line? Have we had any bends?
It does appear to curve very slightly, but it seems like the rocky part curves at the same degree as the sand. So, and you're not separating from each other, but it's not a completely straight line. But after about 15-20 minutes of walking, Doyle does find an overturned lifeboat, but some bits of and pieces of it smashed out on the shore.
Ashton! Ashton, I found a lifeboat over here! So I kind of pick up the pace towards that a little bit.
I'll deviate from my line and make my way over as well.
I'm going to check and see if there's any survivors or anything.
Does it look?
Okay.
I'll check to see if it looks like it's from our ship.
All right. I think both of you investigation would be a good thing here.
Alright.
And you said it looked crashed?
It's upside down and has bits and pieces of the wood like chipped or smashed in different ways.
Okay. Would a natural detective apply to this at all if I'm trying to like see if it's from our ship, like what happened?
Yeah, that would apply.
Okay.
All right. So yes, you do, thanks to your ability, succeed with style. I'm noting that this lifeboat is exactly like the ones you saw on the ship. It even has the little metal plaque that says Icarus on it. But whereas most of the boats you saw on the ship were new, this hasn't just taken a beating. This looks old and weathered. Even the
Yep.
nameplate itself seems tarnished.
Yep.
And Doyle, as you sort of like lift the boat up to search for survivors, you are 100% sure that these people did not survive because what you find underneath is a couple of sort of barnacle encrusted skeletons.
Is there any indication of people heading inland from this lifeboat?
Would that investigate? There's no indication that anyone left the boat at all.
Any remnants of clothing, other personal belongings with the skeletons that might indicate who they are?
There's remnants of clothing, but they're pretty heavily degraded by the seawater. So things like the specific makes of clothing or coloration or any sort of identifying traits also kind of not really there.
Would I know how long they would have had to be out here for this level of deterioration?
The fact they have barnacles growing on them would suggest a very long time.
Time to add 2 reasons the FBI will hate my search history. Which is, how long does it take to skeletonize in seawater?
Oh, welcome to being a DM.
Oh no, I've had this problem for a while.
Oh yeah.
I was going to say that, like, I would like to, like, try to evoke my lightly dazed of, like, Doyle is just heartbroken at the loss and starts praying for their final rites again, and doesn't even register the fact that that's like, wait a second, these people have been dead for way too long.
All right. Ashton needs to roll me academics.
Okay. 4.
See if you are able to properly determine how long these people would have to be here for.
Yeah, 4.
That's not a good roll.
Nope.
Ooh.
Would you like to try invoking one of your aspects in a situationally appropriate way to improve this roll, either by giving yourself a +2 or re-rolling it? I will say, statistically, if you have at least 3 minuses, re-rolling is usually better than just a flat +2.
Yeah, I'll invoke Phony Psychic Investigator to reroll. Very good at logical deduction and he's
This would be within your field of expertise generally, so yeah. All right, you lose a fate point and get to re-roll your roll.
All right. Fair.
All right. Yep. You don't recall the specifics, and well, you do recall the specifics. Rather, you know that it depends a lot on conditions, but outside of tropical areas, it's usually like a couple years. These bodies were in the water for a while.
In the water, not on the beach. They would have had to be in the water.
Well, they have barnacles growing on them. That would clue you off that they spent at least a good portion of time in the water. Because they'd have to skeletonize, and then barnacles grow on them.
I know. I'm thinking.
Yeah.
With that information, if I look around, does it look like there's an area, any indication of where a change in the tide might bring the water level to? And if I need to, I'll stray away a little bit and try to like look up near the more gravelly area.
So you look around and there's not really a good indicator of the tide. Doesn't seem like there's any.
There's no like
there's
no tide line or anything.
Yeah, there's not a tide line of like animals or anything, but you would notice there is almost like
not even just like of animals, like any place where there would be like standing pools of water that are away from the beach, any indication like on like the brush or the gravel.
Yeah, you don't find any indication of that, which means either that it just isn't there or that it is currently high tide.
Okay. I'll make my way back over to Doyle. I think we should continue taking a look around. This is quite strange. These are certainly lifeboats from our ship, but they were at one point. And these bodies would have had to be here for at least a couple of years, submerged. I'm not seeing any indication of a high tide from where we are inland, so either it's currently high tide or it's been low tide long enough that any signs have deteriorated, which wouldn't make any sense. We should see if we can find any other signs of life or indication of what's going on here.
I'm confused. We just abandoned ship minutes ago. How could these people have been dead for years?
But with all of the forces that were affecting the ship, the malicious energy, it can cause all kinds of strange occurrences and phenomena, imbalances in the time stream are just one of the ways that these entities can affect our world. Should I roll to save?
I was gonna say, like,
No, go for it.
Doyle's a little dazed. He might actually buy into this a little bit in his current condition.
Should I
All
add,
right,
should I add a +1?
No, Doyle. Actually, Doyle. Well, Ashton rolls
Deceive.
deceive. Roll. What was it? Insight. Or
That is not a skill.
no? Which skill was it? It's not.
Lore?
No, lore is. Empathy.
Notice?
There we go.
Or empathy, okay.
But you will have a -2 from your lightly dazed. Actually, just a -1 lightly. Not a full.
Okay. Is that how it works? Oh, geez. Even with the
Right.
minus.
I feel like...
I feel like with my
Did you add
my
one?
dazed condition, I should be a little bit more susceptible to this.
Well, with the -1,
For the -1, it would be matching?
or did you already include the -1 when you
Well,
rolled it?
I included the minus.
I don't see a -1 on it.
Yeah, it just says +/-.
Okay, that should have been a -1. Okay, I wasn't certain. It was saying just you just add the plus or minus is what it looked like it was saying. So.
Oh no, it's correct. It's just the way that the system does it. It's +/- face on a dice.
Okay, so yes.
So that is a
added
2. Yes.
Okay, so that is a fair 2 then. I want to get that fate
Yeah.
point. I want to invoke the lightly dazed and say I -2 from that.
You can't compel yourself.
Darn.
I could compel you, or Silent could compel you if you both thought it made sense. Then he would give you a fate point.
Well, that's better than invoking convincing bullshitter. I'll
Yes.
keep a fate point in our control and compel
Okay.
you.
Okay.
All right.
Oh, hold up.
I'll buy into that,
I have
yes.
to somehow give you control of this.
No, everyone has control of those.
No, we only have control
No,
of the
not
ones that
all
we
of them.
pull. You know what? Just pull out an
Oh.
extra fate. A fate.
Yeah.
coin.
Yeah. No, okay, that's fair. It's weird. I thought I gave it like everyone can control it, but it's
Well-
only the people that pull it out.
Yeah, it's like we're making our own token.
Yeah. Well, the fate points in the party look super balanced. As you guys, I'm sure all of you guys are like, boy, it's a good thing we didn't take more stunts. Fate points are really important. All right.
I got some extra fate points.
So Doyle,
All
yes, you consider what he's saying, and it does line up with this idea of like the entities from the adversary have power and domain in this world.
I'm mixing in a little bit of my own religious beliefs into it, but because
Wait.
I'm still not entirely all there, I actually buy into it and just kind of like nod off to him. It's like,
Yeah, you're like, no, that sounds about right.
you might have some point there. Although that could just be the throbbing headache as well. But let's keep going. See if we can find anything else. If not, I'd give it another... Oh, I don't know. My head. Another 15 minutes and we should start working our way back.
We continue. I'd say we continue around as we have been, and when we're making our way back, we should probably be a little bit closer to the inland side. See if there's anything past the scrub line as we make our way back. Think would be a good idea.
I'll try to stay a little bit further on the beach, so that we don't miss the ship when we're walking back. But yes, we'll be a little bit closer so that you can get a better eye of the island itself instead of just the shoreline.
All right. You guys continue. 10 minutes. A few more minutes. As it's starting to think about turning around, you both see something a bit further along the shoreline. Roll me notice again.
Yay!
Wonderful skill.
Ugh. Well, at least it's not a 0.
Yeah, you would both notice this then. As you are walking along, you see a rather large shape outlined in the mist, and as you get a bit closer, you see the hull of the Icarus.
We made it back. Ahoy! Doyle is gonna go ahead and yell out.
I'm going to be a bit more trepidatious than that.
Okay.
From how we've been walking, should we have made like a full circle?
No. Not at all.
Okay. Cool.
Still dazed.
That's what I figured. I'm gonna hold Doyle back a little bit.
What?
Well, from how we've been walking along the beach, the curvature, we shouldn't have made it back. In fact, we haven't even made a quarter circle yet.
But kind of looking around a little bit, shakes his head a little bit.
Is the
That doesn't... Oh, my head's hurting even more now.
these malicious entities can cause all kinds of tricks. We should approach with caution.
We've already seen one ship, or one lifeboat, that's been moored here somehow for years.
Feel like the
Give me a moment. I sit down on the beach where we are, real quickly, pull out my Bible, and just start reading a couple of pages real quickly. After like a minute or two, trying to like recenter, refocus myself.
Okay.
Basically trying to get the days out of my head, trying to think straight. Is what I'm trying to do before I will rejoin Ashton to investigate, or to see if he wants to investigate what looks to be the old Icarus. I don't know if there's a role for that or anything like that, but narratively, that's what I'm going to try to do.
I don't know if we're close enough to see if it's old or not. I think we can just see the outline of it.
Mm-hmm. But
Though I'm assuming, yes, it's old.
Yeah,
yes,
that's what
go ahead and give me a will roll for this attempt at just clearing your head.
All right. I'd like to go ahead and invoke pistol packing preacher for this as well, to like just try to use that my knowledge of scriptures and everything to just try to refocus and kind of like recenter myself, if you will. Is that
All
okay?
right. That's fine. I will say, actually, like paying for an invoke, you can wait until after the roll.
Oh, okay. So, do this.
But
I'd like to go ahead and spend it and bump that up to a 5 just to make, just
Ooh.
hoping to make good on it.
all right, that works well enough. You pull out your Bible and you find some passages that you think are fairly applicable to this about protection from the Lord and that sort of thing. Go ahead, lose a fate point and the lightly dazed condition.
Woohoo!
Well, it was more of an aspect than a condition. But conditions are aspects too. Everything is aspects. It's the bronze rule of the game. Everything can be described as an aspect.
Yeah.
Um,
All right. And with that, I will stand back up. All right, Ashton. I think I'm better now. Do we want to try to investigate this, or how do you want to approach this?
Well, I think it'd be certainly worth taking a look at. And start making our way over to the ship.
All right. I'm going... Doyle, now being of a little bit more sound of mind, is actually going to start trying to kind of like use the fog for the moment at least. But as we get closer, if there's any like terrain debris or anything like that, he's going to start trying to use that.
that would be incredibly difficult, given that it is a flat, sandy beach.
It is beach.
If there's like debris or something like that was my thought. But if not, then, just being cautious more so than I guess.
Yeah, as you approach, you're like trying to approach cautiously and stealthily, and you think, oh, there's some things that might provide some cover. But as you get just a little bit closer, you notice these are old, abandoned, like, tent posts. Boxes that look like they were from some of the same kind of supplies as you guys saw people pulling out of the ship.
But it is the Icarus.
I mean, it looks like the same kind of outline. Obviously was an airship.
Oh, there's only one airship right now.
Did the Icarus have any, like, identifying markings on it? Did it have, like, the Icarus, like, painted on the side?
Yeah, funny that you mentioned that. It did, in fact, have Icarus painted in golden script on one side. This ship has Icarus embossed on a metal placard on one side.
So different style of engraving the name.
Yes.
Does it look like it's old and run down again too?
Yes, this also looks quite run down and old.
Is it an airship?
From what you can tell, it does have the balloon on top as your ship did, and does have the same kind of propellers that Icarus did.
I just want to say I love this song.
I did make some of my music selection from that game, yes.
I know. It's great.
Kind of still cautiously making my way around the ship. The hole that Dell was looking through. I'm kind of guessing that I have an idea of where that was on our Icarus. Try to go around to that side of the ship. Do I find a similar sized hole in the ship?
No, actually. This one, there's no hole on that side.
Hey, Ashton, come here.
I see it. Yes.
This
We seem to be lacking the damage to the ship that we had.
turning down the music a little bit. It got a little loud there for me.
I have a suggestion if you are amenable. We did indicate that they should listen for the loud noises. Taking a quick look, is there any clear way that we could enter the ship?
From what you can see, the lifeboat ports are open, but there's no boats nearby.
Okay. Mr. Bell, you are carrying your firearm, correct?
Always.
I think it would be a good idea if we were to take a look at the ship.
Wait, oh, that's the wrong one. Sorry.
That just got even more creepy.
Wow.
And good God, that was loud.
This one.
Did you forget repeat?
No, I'm fading to a different one because that was like a dramatic moment, and now I've ruined it by playing the wrong song. Go ahead, continue.
Oh, I have to turn the volume back up.
Yeah, that particular song doesn't really repeat as well in my, at least not for the kind of emphasis.
I think it would do us well to investigate the ship. Would you be amenable to firing 2 or 3 shots off?
I'd rather say we should double back and bring the crew with us.
Well,
If this has got the same components, Dell might want to know and get his hands on some of it as well.
I'm concerned that it won't be here when we return. May have been disturbed in some way. I feel like taking a look now would be our best option, but if we're here and we can draw members of our crew here, at least 2 or 3 more people, it might be beneficial in throwing off whatever forces are presenting the ship to us.
We might be a little far away also. I hadn't expected this island to be quite so large.
We're what, 20,
But-
25 minutes out?
Yeah, but I mean, at a walking pace, that's still decent.
On a empty island with no other real noise?
Mm-hmm. Oh, no. For sound, that's fine. For, like, actual walking distance.
Yeah.
Alright.
I thought you were going somewhere else.
No. Just like the noise would. It's quiet enough and empty enough. The noise would carry pretty well.
It'd be nice also if we
like-
could find some flares on there. That would be working better. But then I go ahead, undo my jacket, pull out my pistol, and cock the hammer back. Blam! Wait a couple of seconds, cock the hammer back again. Blam! Wait a couple more seconds, cock the hammer back. Blam!
All right. 3 shots. You can hear it ringing out quite loudly. And we're heading back to Dell because before any of the NPCs can notice anything, we need to figure out what situation they're in.
Yes.
So on that cliffhanger, we're going right back to Dell.
As he fires off the shots and we start making our way onto this not Icarus. What is happening at the Icarus? The more I say this,
Yes.
the less it sounds like a name.
Icarus.
Uh-huh.
Are you saying cigarettes now?
Right. Anyway, Dell, you and Johnson make your way into the ship with the intent of figuring out what's salvageable, what's not, what's completely underwater. Unfortunately, it seems with the way the boat's sitting in the water, that the majority of the bottom 2 floors
Completely submerged.
completely submerged, yes. And unfortunately, the second to last floor is where the boiler is.
Lovely. Alright, Johnson. Unless we have a way of being able to keep some air with us, we're not going to be going to the boiler. Let's go on ahead, check the rest of the ship, see what's salvageable. And if we can't see about getting some of this patched up and making it seaworthy at the very least.
Do you think that maybe we should see if there's some way to pull the ship further on shore, drain out a bit?
I would just suggest we do that. I mean, unless we get it at least partially airborne, there's really not much of a way we can get it up on the land.
Sort of. This is, yes.
Let's take at least a little time, search through the ship, search.
Do you
through the
think?
ship.
I think searching. Yeah, but I'm really worried about what happened with the boiler.
Yeah.
Do you know which room was above it? We could through the floor somehow.
It's actually not a bad idea. We might even be able to use one of the byways to get over to that area. Yeah, I think I know which room it might be. Of course, Dell would probably know, right?
Right.
Alright, let's go take a look, see if we can't get through.
Yeah, alright. He follows with you as you lead him over to the room. Think to yourself, alright, the boiler should be like right below here.
Yeah, so we just have to break through the floor. Boy, got a mini sledge on me at least. What else? What type of room are we in?
Ah, interesting that you should ask, because you are in fact in a personal cabin.
Anything heavy that could be welded like a sledgehammer?
Wielded?
Mm-hmm.
You said welded.
I was
You
very
did say welded.
confused.
Wielded as a sledgehammer.
Welded like it's such
sledgehammer-
what?
A sledgehammer is one of those things that wouldn't normally be on a tool belt. Maybe like a handheld mini sledge, but that's about it. I have a feeling we're gonna need something pretty damn heavy to break through the floorboards here.
You don't see anything that's particularly able to be wielded like a hammer. The only really heavy thing you see in the room is a small safe.
Alright, looks like we're gonna have to just find these seams and pull the floorboards up by the nails then. So, Dell's gonna pull his hammer and a crowbar, toss the crowbar over to Johnson. And let's get to deconstructing this floor.
Alright. Get my punch out. Yes, I have the, they're called fate dice or fudge dice. The plus and minus dice. I have some, several sets actually. That's 4, that's good enough. Alright, so go ahead and roll me crafts.
Oh boy. Please, roll 20. Please.
You can't roll a 20. But you can roll of that.
Fuck yes! Where was that all came?
Very nice. Very, very, very nice.
We make a seamless fucking hole.
Yeah. So Johnson does pretty good. He starts going to work, and he's got a few boards up, and he looks up, and you've already got most of the patch done. He just seems dumbfounded that you were able to work so fast. Orange. Yes. Where's the last one? Oh, well, I've got enough fudge dice. But yes, you are able to make a sizable hole, and looking down, I'm assuming you brought a lamp or lantern with you of some sort so you could see inside the ship. Shining the lantern over the hole, you look down and you see the boiler, which just at a cursory glance seems to have blown out several pipes.
Mm-hmm.
And
That's to be expected.
about 8 or 10 dead bodies of your crew.
Damn it. Johnson, I hate to say it, but you're the lucky bastard today. Though I know I don't feel it. All right. Looks like the boiler's busted a few pipes. Don't think it's gonna be very easy to repair, especially underwater.
Think we might be able to parts from it. I mean, we've got a lot fewer people now. Maybe we could build something smaller, get everyone back home.
We might be able to reconstruct the boiler or something at least to push us. Take a lot of supplies though. We'd probably have to pull from a lot of non-essentials. All right. Let's see what other damage we got around the ship and get an idea of what we've got to handle on. I know that we've got that one pneumatic system that's completely blown out. That's fucked the steering earlier that got us in this predicament. We're gonna need to figure out what else might have been damaged when we hit ashore. See what we can reroute and readdress. It's a good thing I got some reroute valves all over the thing. We might be able to put that to use. Taylor, you still there?
Taylor?
Sorry, I was muted for half a second while I was emptying my dice bag. The dice I was looking for was at the bottom, which is typical.
That tracks.
I have these nice, frosted, semi-transparent orange fudge dice that I really like. Anyhow, that's what I'm going to be using to roll for the NPC session. The nice thing about fudge is it literally takes 4 dice. That's it. Right. The reroute valves, I thought those were meant for rerouting the boiler's output, yeah?
Repeat that last part, Taylor.
He said, boss, I thought the rerouting valves were just for changing the distribution of the steam from the boiler.
Exactly. If we have a separate boiler set up to try and get us moving again, we'd be able to set up a secondary boiler and get this stuff moving. We are going to have to try and patch up some of the holes in the ship as well so that we're not sinking further while we're out on sea. I don't think we're going to really get afloat in the air again. Not unless we can get the big boiler down there out of water and set and repaired. All right, Johnson. Let's check the ship top to bottom, source out supplies, figure out what we've got on hand. But I think your idea of getting a secondary boiler is going to work. Let's go ahead and get started. It's really only going to be the two of us. I don't know, two of us with the know-how to do this. So I hate to say it, we're going to be working a while.
Yeah, I understand that, boss. I think once, if we're gonna be here a while, you think once things have settled down a bit, we might be able to just get some people to help us move some stuff about. I know that's a good portion of what we probably gonna end up needing to do for this.
Absolutely. We're probably going to have to pull some of the crew for it to help out. For now, though, let's go ahead and get ourselves at least a count of what we've got and what we might need. All right? Don't do anything stupid. All right? You run into trouble, call it, just get the heck out. All right? I don't want to lose any more of my team today.
Yeah. He seems to have a bit of a far-off look as he sort of glances down at the bodies in the water.
He remembers all the freshly cooked rations that people have.
Hey, Johnson. We get back to shore, we'll ask the Reverend to get them their last rites, okay?
Yeah.
Let's focus on the work. Come on.
And yeah, he follows along with you. You guys get an accounting. I'm just gonna extend that legendary crafts roll to.
Just searching the ship and figuring out.
I think you're simultaneously the only person that's rolled 4 minuses and the only person that's rolled 4 pluses so far.
Yep.
Yeah. I fucked up and then I went epic.
Mm-hmm. Nice. Anyway,
is it possible in this system to like super fail, like roll something that's like a +0 and get 4 minuses?
that would still just be a failure. It would be outside of the normal descriptions, so it would be worse than terrible, and it would be a really bad failure, but it would still be a failure.
Okay.
I think there's some like homebrew systems for -3 or -4 rolls, but I feel like at that point you just have utterly failed, and that's fine.
Mm-hmm.
That being said, you are able to get a decent inventory of what parts of the ship are in working order and above water, and otherwise, in a general sense, a lot of the piping is fine. A lot of the wood is still structurally fine. The outer hull is kind of shot on one side or the front, submerged in the back. The boiler, of course, itself is submerged, but a lot of the valves aren't. And even the ones that are, you may, there may still be good pipes or valves that you'd have to break through floors or find some sort of breathing apparatus in order to get to. But as it stands, you probably have enough material to build a much smaller sized boat and have it be steam powered. You're not sure how much of... Actually, the least salvageable thing really is the canopy of the balloon itself, because there's tears and rips in various places all over it that make it so it would be very difficult to get a cohesive patch of it, and you know from experience that it can be difficult to stitch it in a way that's airtight if you're using multiple pieces.
Nah, the best way for that, on that part there, would probably be to convert it more into a sail. That way we can conserve power by using the wind if need be.
All right. Well, as you and Johnson have finished this up, you go out to, talk to people, get figured out what's going on, get things settled, get plans going. And you both, as well as several other people, turn as from off down the shore you hear 3 loud gunshots.
That's not good. Real quick, who went off searching down the shore?
One of the preacher and the guy that was talking about the omens and stuff.
The kook. Okay. Johnson.
Yeah, boss.
You go on ahead. Start up a draft of the ship and everything. Go ahead and get with Miss Olivier, right?
Madame Orley.
Madame Orley. Get with Madame Orley. Double check on how many crew hands are available to help out with starting to take apart the ship. Okay. Try and get good hands if possible. Again, just don't be stupid. Keep as many people alive as possible. All right. I'm gonna go check out what's going on down there.
Sure thing, boss. Yeah. He sort of wanders over to try and help or organize or what have you as best he can. I hate it when this happens. When my tiny dice flew off my desk.
You hear 3 gunshots and you go to check it out alone?
And that seems reasonable, right? Right.
You don't want nobody else getting killed.
Which begs the question, alone?
Is there any of the security staff that survived?
Not from what you can tell. If they survive, they're not with the rest of you there on the island.
That's more or less what I meant, yeah.
Found it. I have.
You'll get a able deckhand. That's available to run with them.
There's very few deckhands as well. There's only like 3 or so deckhands that survive that are currently ferrying supplies.
Johnson's probably going to need them. No, he's
Yep.
going alone.
All right.
Hammer in hand.
So that'll help against the gun. No.
The gun shot at.
Yeah, you were told to keep an ear out for loud noises, and you hear gunshots. Yeah. All right, so you make your way down the beach while the other survivors organize and plan and stock up on supplies. You hear just before you're leaving about somebody talking about trying to open a hole in the front of the ship so that people can just get in and out more easily. But yeah, they're trying to coordinate things. But so you go along and you're walking down the beach towards the sound. And now it's at the point where Ashton and Doyle, you have shot into the air several times. And now what are you doing? You said you were heading towards the ship after doing so?
Yeah, heading onto the ship to take a look.
All right. How did you want to get on the ship?
You said that looked like there was a way to get in.
The holes for the lifeboats were still open.
Yeah,
there are
there
no...
are ropes coming down from those, where they would normally have lowered the lifeboats from.
Yeah, there's ropes coming down for those, but you'd have to swim out to them.
Okay.
Well,
I guess we're gonna be trying to swim then?
yeah, I guess we're gonna swim out to them.
All right.
I thought the ship was closer in than that.
The ship's not further away. It's the lifeboat ports are further away than the ones on your ship.
And there aren't any like holes in the ship or anything like that anywhere else.
Not
It's
that you can
closer
see.
to. Okay.
Okay.
So, all right. Well, what we can try to do is hold on to the side of the ship as much as possible while swimming out to those ropes over there. Climb our way back into the lifeboat ports there.
How deep does it look like it gets?
It's difficult to tell, but it looks like
Like, how far out are the lifeboat ports?
about 30 or 40 feet.
Oof,
Oh, jeez.
that's a decent amount out. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a large ship, and you on your Icarus,
How are we able
they were
to see?
situated more.
How are we able to see them then? If they're 30 to 40 feet out, and I'm assuming up the hull.
The blah 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 English. Thank you, brain.
Has the fog broken?
No, but they're close enough to the water line that you can see them.
Okay.
I should probably have described this better. On your Icarus, the lifeboat location is further up and further towards the front. On this one, it's further towards the back and lower down.
Okay. Now, actually, taking a quick look around, there were makeshift, tent poles at least. Is there rope anywhere? I would assume so, just about, but...
I mean, if you want to search the area,
Yeah.
you could probably find some rope.
All right. I'll take a
Roll
look.
investigation.
Okay. Please be good. Oh!
Oh, hey, they do have a verb for it. Or an adjective, rather.
Well,
Okay.
fuck.
So here's a good point to say about something. A, this is absolutely a failure.
Yes.
B, you can either fail your action or succeed at a major cost. Or, in the case where I'm doing, just make it narratively interesting. You do in fact find some rope.
I don't trust the rope.
Why wouldn't you trust the rope? It's been like sitting here out in the open.
Well, I was going to do this anyways, but give it like a quick little just a pull test on a section of the rope to
God,
see
snaps
how.
in half.
Oh, jeez. Well, it's a good thing I didn't trust that right away. That would have been horrifying. Had to.
Womp womp.
Wait, hold on.
Yeah. How much psychic damage should I take for that one?
Yes.
Well, should we swim out then?
Well, I don't think this plan of mine was going to work, so yes, I guess we only have the one option right now.
Alright, well, start swimming out to the rope at the lifeboat ports.
As will I.
All right. Let's see, even.
I'm trying to hold on to the ship itself so that I don't hopefully get swept away or something like that. At least until we reach where the ropes are hanging down at.
All right. Are you doing the same, Ashton?
Sure.
All right. All right. You're both swimming along, sort of, almost one hand on the side of the ship for guidance and support. About halfway there, Doyle, you feel something strange brush against your leg. And at this point, the water's gotten to be about 4 or 5 feet deep.
Okay, so it's up to my chest, basically, just about.
Right.
Oh.
Go ahead and make me a physique roll.
Okay. Great.
Oh, good. All right. Actually, I have to roll this now. All right. Yeah, you feel something sort of like tangle up on your leg. It feels almost like seaweed or something. But you pull away and you feel it snap a bit and trail away.
Yeah. I don't like the water. Why'd I agree to come on this trip? Ugh.
I believe it's because the initial plan did not include the water.
Yeah, it was supposed to be in the air. I can deal with that just fine. I just don't like not seeing what's grabbing my leg. Ugh.
Boy, don't you two get along great.
Yeah.
I think we're okay, though. It just felt like some seaweed or something like that. Yeah, maybe it was an octopus. If there's octopus here, might be good eating. Ever had calamari?
It's an entirely different animal. Ah.
Well, I've had it once or twice.
Yeah, basically the same thing.
Hey, hold up. I gotta take 2 fate points for that. No, I'm just kidding. They're very different things. Similar in preparation.
Where I get the calamari from, that's clearly octopus.
They're basically
Shouldn't
the same.
be.
They're basically the
Calamari
same
is squid.
it's basically the same thing.
Actually, you know what? No, I'm
Taxonomically,
sorry. Actually, I'm
and
sorry. It's a mixture of the two. We have octopus and squid.
it's more like calamari with takoyaki or something. Anyway, point being that you are able to make it over to the rope without anything horrific happening to you.
Yay! The GM
which
tried to
is
drown me.
what you expect at this point. I'm not sure which thing I'm saying you should expect at this point, but hey. Yes. All right, so you have reached the rope.
All right. Well, start climbing
trying
up.
to.
Yeah.
Yep. We're still head above water.
By the time you get out to here, if you were walking on the bottom, no. So you're swimming out
Okay.
this last quarter of the way out.
Okay. All right. So we got about 5 or 6 feet worth of swimming to the rope, and okay. Kind of grab onto the rope nearest to me and give it a quick tug.
Roll physique.
Yeah. I get to one of the ropes and I just start trying to climb up.
All right, Ashton, roll athletics.
Oh boy.
You don't fail, but it does take you a little bit. And while you're doing that, Doyle tugs on one of the ropes next to you, and it just snaps. And then picks a different rope and tugs it, and it holds, so he just makes his way up as well. There were 4 ropes, and you rolled really high and broke one.
Oh, I wanted the lower roll, huh? Oh, okay.
Sometimes it's better.
Not
All
according
right,
roll
good to know.
20.
All right. So, yep, heading up.
All right. So I have a question. Do either of you two have a light source? Or, to be more accurate, would you have had the foresight to try and find one to bring with you? Not necessarily you, your characters.
I would tend to think yes.
Yeah.
Like, while I was searching for the rope and everything, maybe, but I mean, I rolled shitty for that.
All right. Well,
Probably.
you did have to swim out here, so you will have to wait a moment to let off. Some of presumably like dipped in the water once or twice, but it's fine. You just have to wait a minute, let your eyes acclimate a bit as you go in, and you light up the small lantern that you had the foresight to bring.
Yay!
When you went out exploring, and inside you see a room that looks kind of similar to where you were with the lifeboats. Very similar mechanisms.
Always check the bar first, Ashton.
Is there a bar?
This is not the lounge. This is the
Darn.
lifeboat area.
Oh.
I,
Okay,
I figured I'd ask. He said check the bar. If there's not a bar here, does the layout look similar?
From what you can tell, not really. Like, the mechanisms are similar, but the actual layout of the room is slightly different.
If I head over to, like, where the stair... Like, if I look at where the stairs were on our ship, is there stairs or a door over there?
There's a door, but no stairs.
What's on the other side of the door?
Do you try to open the door?
yes.
Well, I mean, I figured I'd have to have opened the door to know there aren't stairs.
The door is closed, so.
Yeah, you found a closed door rather than stairs, to be more accurate.
Well, yeah, that's what I was asking. Is there stairs or a door there?
There's a door.
Okay.
There's a door.
I don't know if there's stairs beyond that door.
Okay, then I'm gonna go over and I'm gonna open the door.
All right. As you open it, there's a brief moment where it like sticks a bit, and then you sort of pull on it, and the wood crumbles.
Ooh.
It's obviously been exposed to the elements a bit. You sort of like pull half the door off in the process. And beyond it, there are in fact not stairs.
What is beyond it?
The hallway, it looks like, with other doors.
Well, should we start taking a look around?
How long did it take us to get to the lifeboat dock?
From the shore,
Yeah.
it's like 5 or 10 minutes.
Okay.
That long for 30 feet of swimming?
More like that long.
Yeah, the
for
climbing up could take you. a good
climbing
5
and
minutes. Yeah.
making sure that you aren't going to snap ropes,
Yeah.
and then snapping a rope.
Yeah.
Mm.
I mean, I could buy
But
that.
like, to be more
We're
accurate,
being
it's just
cautious.
a few. It's a few minutes. It's not a big
Alright.
deal. It's less time than it takes for Dell to get to the beach.
You're right.
but-
That
More time than 1 second.
right. Okay. So, all right. Let's try to keep it some sense of time on our side, though. Although, looking at this ship, I get the eerie feeling this might be the Icarus II.
It's
So-
certainly a possibility, but I feel we should take a look around.
I don't disagree with you, Ashton. I'm just saying, let's try to be wary that there's some janky stuff going on here.
Everything's fine.
And I just heard the GM smile, so we're probably going to die. Alright, so I follow Ashton. At least for right now.
Yeah, no, heading into the hall, checking the doors.
All right.
Look.
Most of them.
Do they look like they would be like cabin doors, or?
Most of them do look like they'd be cabin doors. If you try one, it's unlocked. Not in nearly as bad condition as the first one, because it hasn't been out in the open air.
Okay.
Well, now it will be, so if they deteriorate later, that's probably your fault, but that's far enough in the future that it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, no, then just checking the doors, taking a look into the rooms.
From what you can tell, it looks like most of the rooms were abandoned pretty quickly. Not a lot of obvious damage, like things fell off of shelves, scuffed the ground, but no, like, holes or burns or anything like that. Getting a bit further down the hall, one of the doors that you open leads to a set of stairs going down.
Well, shall we?
Oh, sorry. Yes.
There was some slight lag in the thought process there.
Yeah. Sorry. Dazed out a little bit there. Give me back that lightly dazed counter. No. I'm kidding. Laid on.
Let's head down the stairs.
All right. There's stairs. Creak and groan as you go down.
Oh.
But they hold. As you head down, you find yourself in another hallway.
Is it like a landing, the end of the stairs? Is it like, are we as far down as the stairs go? Is it like a landing in the middle, like with more stairs going down?
There's a landing and a hallway that goes left and right. And you do see there's a door next to the stairs, which you presume probably leads to more stairs.
Okay. Is there any kind of signage?
Not particularly.
There's nothing indicating what floor we're on, what's on the floor, anything
There
that's
would be-
normal on.
Yeah, there would be a floor number sign. This would be like the second floor. It doesn't have any particular signs like right at the stairs of where to go, but you think that's probably because there's a door open in front of you leading into the lounge. It has one of those little stands that you find in some places where it's got like a "You Are Here" map.
Okay, if I take a look at the map, am I able to get a sense of? Am I able to get a bearing of where we are? And if, as I'm looking at the map, is there any notations that stand out to me, specifically about the ship we're on? Any, like, when it was, like, made? Like, you know how
it's got almost
you know
like
how, you know how, like, how some things that, like, a lot of things that are printed have like a notation of the date.
This doesn't have any real notation of the date, but it does have a little placard at the top, almost like a pamphlet introduction style of thing. As it says, "Welcome to the Icarus, the first airship."
Okay.
The map itself, you're able to gather that you're about near the middle of the ship. From what you were able to tell from it, the locations marked on it are the ones that would be more used for, say, the people, the passengers. There's directions to several different lounges. There's directions to a kitchen, infirmary, cabins, which is sort of where you just came from.
Is there? Yeah, you said we're adjacent to a lounge.
The sign is in the lounge, yes,
Okay.
which is adjacent to the stair
So
exit
in the
that you found.
lounge. Okay.
Right.
Is the
I'm going to
is
stay
the- is-
just outside of the
Is the
lounge.
bridge indicated on the map?
Not specifically, but just looking at it, you can see what is probably a bridge based just on the structure of it. It's not specifically marked out for people, but it is a full map.
Okay. The first thing I'd want to do then is really quickly take a look around the lounge, specifically looking for any kind of literature, pamphlets, menus, anything that would give me some idea of, where the ship came from, where it might have been going, when it may have left dock. And then after looking around, I would want to try to talk to Doyle about trying to get to the bridge, but yeah, my first thing would be to specifically, look around the lounge for anything that might glean any of that information.
All right. Go ahead and give me an investigate check. Roll. Thing. That is a particularly bad roll for you.
Oh yeah, holy cow, look at that.
Yeah, I think I'd want to invoke, Phony Psychic Investigator for that and reroll.
All right.
That is very bad.
All right. Go ahead and re-roll that, and then have no more fate points until I find a convenient time to compel you to do something,
Yep.
or compel a situation based on your character.
6.
Oh, very good. All right. So, looking through some of the stuff in the area, you're able to piece together some information. For reference, currently the year is 1940.
Okay.
But perusing over various things like literature, the menus don't give any useful information, but seem like a weird mirror of the ones you'd seen previously. Similar in design, but not the same.
Any
but-
newspapers or anything?
Not really any specific papers, but between looking through some of the literature that's around, and as well as some of the, funny enough, some of the wines that still have labels intact, nothing seems to be from anywhere closer than 1920. And the fact that some of these wines were listed on the menus at relatively cheap prices does seem to indicate to you that this ship probably set out around early 1920s.
Okay.
I will note, you have literally never heard of a flying airship before the one you boarded.
And does that take natural detective into account? The information I get?
Yes.
Okay. I just wanted to check before I started discussing with Doyle.
Mm-hmm.
Well, taking a look at what's in stock, taking a look at the menus, it seems to be from the early 20s, but that wouldn't, that doesn't quite line up with what we're familiar with. I'd be interested to try to navigate to the bridge.
I have one concern about going too much deeper into this ship. And that's us losing our way, potentially.
I will point him at the wall at a map.
It doesn't do us a whole lot of good from there, nor does it really help us if we find us a point that doesn't seem to be on that map.
Is the map made of paper?
The map does appear to be made of paper and behind a pane of glass in like a frame.
Cool. Is there something hard nearby?
Well, can you just take the pane off of the
You mean besides the whiskey? No, I'm just...
wall?
You could just take the paint off the wall and smack it against the ground. That is...
I will take the pane off the wall and smack it against the ground and take out the map.
Alright. It's a couple minor tears from the glass, but you're able to get it out mostly intact.
I try to grab a piece of the frame if it's a little bit more sturdy than most of the other rotting wood here.
Actually, most of the wood in this area seems relatively sturdy. It wasn't exposed to open air.
Okay.
So, I mean, there are, like, tables and chairs if you want a piece of wood.
Is there a piece of metal anywhere? A knife or anything like that?
There would be, like, some steak knives, forks.
Perfect.
There's a fireplace with a poker next to it.
Ooh, you know what? Poker would be pretty darn good, actually. I'm going to grab the poker. And although a little bit more awkward maybe than a knife, it'll also be a little bit more durable.
I mean, you can just take both.
Yeah, I guess I'll take one of the steak knives as well.
I didn't even need to find something heavy. I have a cane.
Yeah, you are walking around with a cane.
Yeah, I can hit it with a cane.
Yeah, no, that works.
But I'm going to use the poker to kind of mark our progress.
With scratches or something?
Basically, yes.
Okay.
I'll do like scratches and arrows as well, in the hopes of making it so that we don't like lose our way. We can backtrack using those, and I'll even like actually drag the poker on the ground behind us, hoping to score the floor as well, enough so that we have a easy line to follow.
That would take a considerable amount of force to be dragging it with.
If the ground's not,
It's.
I mean, if the wood's in really good condition, then yeah.
It's not in really good condition, but it's not in like bad condition either. It's sort of just slightly old seeming. Like it seems like, at least again, to common sense ideas, that it's been in here a while, but also, you know, the air smells stale. There wasn't a good access to the exit. It might just, you know, not have decayed a lot because it was enclosed.
Well, then I'll stick to the main idea of marking basically whenever we find a turn, or even just every couple of feet, I'll give markings and an arrow showing which direction we went.
All
Make
right.
it hopefully easier to backtrack later on.
Mm-hmm.
I'll use the map to lead us towards where the bridge should be.
All right. You navigate there easily enough. Around this time, actually, as you guys start heading out towards the bridge, Dell, you found this boat, the rowboat on the shore. Saw that the footsteps from the other two led away from it. Followed them along, and now you see the Icarus? Question mark.
The hell? What the fuck?
Funny thing is, this one looks to be, at least the exterior seems to be in better condition than you guys' ship.
Okay then. And I'm still following the footprints.
Yes, they go up to a point on the shore relatively close to the boat and then just go into the water.
Ah, damn it, they went inside, didn't they? Alright. Going in after them. By the way, how much longer am I going to be lightly dazed?
I mean, you'd probably be fine by now. Here. Dan can have it again.
Hey!
Alright, he is...
Did you say hey or yay?
I said, hey.
Oh. It
Not
wasn't
nice.
clear, and it could have been either. And I would have understood either.
I am a bit of a weirdo, I know this.
Yeah.
Okay,
So yeah, you see the footsteps going up the water. You see the rope hanging from one of the ports on the outside of the ship that is in the wrong place. In your mind, at least.
I don't feel right with this. I do not feel right, but I better go back and find those fucking idiots. Going towards the ship.
We're on a ghost ship, a ship that shouldn't exist. It's fine.
Uh-huh.
Why do I
It's a
still
ghost
hear
ship.
the GM smiling?
Because yes.
Who said it was a ghost ship?
Mm-mm.
Maybe we're the ghosts.
If anything, there might be something to find in this thing that'll help us with getting out off this thing island and back home. Now Dell's going towards this quote quote Alticarus.
I mean, if it's been that long, then I would start to suggest that we actually head back to see if we can find Dell anywhere nearby,
I mean,
so we can regroup.
Well, we don't know that Dell is there. Right?
Yes, but if it's been feeling like it's been about half an hour or so, is what I'm saying.
We're making our way towards the bridge.
Yeah, that was your current plan.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right.
Right now, we're not talking about you two. We're talking Dell.
Yeah.
Hmm. All right, Dell, give me a physique roll. As you try and perform this same maneuver and shimmy up the ropes. You know, get up the ropes without any real issue.
Mm-hmm.
And you go into this room with these pulleys where the lifeboats were, and it's just in terrible condition. You could see somebody's ripped part of a door off its hinges.
No, that's not those two for certain. If I were a reverend and a superstitious idiot, where would I go?
Looking around, that door that's like halfway ripped out is the only door.
Yeah, but I'm talking about after going through that door.
Mm-hmm.
More than likely, they'd probably either go to the bridge or to the larder. Let's go to the ballroom and larder first.
We went to
All
the
right.
bar.
And as you like shimmy your way through this partially pulled open door, and pull out a lantern and light it, you realize that this ship is laid out completely differently from how the ship you helped build is. It also looks like there's a lot of dank mold in the area. The doors are warped in their frames, and there's a thin veneer of water under your feet.
Okay, this thing's been here a while. With my knowledge of craftsmanship and whatnot, would I be able to
Mhm.
tell kind of how long it's been decaying here?
Without knowing more about... Actually, you know what? Roll crafts. Let's see how you do.
Hey!
All right.
Another superb.
Yeah, you don't have like a context of where, like, what the conditions have been like around here, but assuming that it's similar to how it has been, this has been here for quite a while, at least 5 years.
Oh my, yeah, that's a while. That's as long as the Icarus has been in development and building. This can't be the Icarus. Everything's wrong. All right. I no. Find Doyle. Find the Reverend. Find the idiot. Let's get them out of here. Then we can get like a crew over here to check it out.
At least I get to be Reverend. You just are idiot.
I mean,
Yeah.
he saw him doing the superstitious stuff while trying to get to the port to fix the issue. So yeah, in his head, idiot.
I calmed people down and you didn't fix anything. Which one of us is really the idiot?
Yes.
I'm gonna let that one slide. Because I know that's right, and I'm not gonna fight it, but I'm gonna stay in my character
I mean,
Mhm.
I'm
of supernatural distrust.
Excuse me.
Seriously though, your character is being smart. He probably gets this a lot.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so yeah, he's still gonna try and find his way to, either the ballroom or, as I keep calling it, the larder, but pretty much the kitchen.
All right.
Okay.
Well, trying some of these doors, some are stuck or give way. Eventually, you happen upon one that has some stairs leading down, and unfortunately, it looks like it's completely filled up with water.
Ugh. Do I find any like signage or anything kind of pointing the way around?
You see placards that look like they could be signs, but they're all completely rusted out.
Yeah, I would figure. Yeah, I'm gonna need to find. All right, I'm gonna need to find like a. I'm gonna need to find a map. Bridge. Let's get to the bridge. See if I can figure out where the damn bridge is, and if I'm on the way, I can find a way up, find a way, and see if I can find a map.
All right. You keep looking around, and you eventually find a staircase going up.
Mm-hmm.
Just to go up it, though, you have to sort of like hug the wall because most of the wood has rotted out,
Yeah, I
and
figure that.
you're not sure how stable the steps are, so you're sort of just like hugging the wall as much as possible and hoping.
Trying to stay off the wood as much as I can, and stay closer towards like what the where it's connecting, where it might be stronger.
Mm-hmm.
This sucks.
All right. But you do, after a short bit, manage to get up the stairs, find yourself in another hallway, and head towards the bow of the ship because that's where, like, the bridge should probably be, maybe. While he's doing that, Ashton and Doyle are also heading up to the bridge.
But we got a map.
Oh, we have a map.
Yes. And a nice ship full of relatively non-degraded stuff. You're even able to, like I said, at the bar, the wine was still there, still nice and such, but with the map in hand, you're able to make your way up to the bridge pretty easily.
Okay. Taking a look. I'm assuming we're now at the bridge.
Yes.
Taking a look around, does it look like there's been any damage? Well, I guess, yeah. First off, has there been any damage to the bridge?
It doesn't seem that way.
Okay.
Most of the stuff is relatively intact. There's some fraying on the upholstery and the occasional splinter, but nothing really too drastic.
Any bodies in here?
No.
Okay. I'm assuming there's a table with navigational charts and maps, etc.
Yes.
I want to go take a look at them.
All right.
Those would have dates on them, so and information, especially if there's some kind of logbook near them. That would be able to confirm what I was inferring from the limited information I was able to get from wine and menus and stuff and prices. I also want to see if there's any differences between the map here and the map that I'd be familiar with.
Well, looking at it, you are able to confirm that evidently this ship set out in 1922 on a maiden voyage of the first airship of all time, greatly celebrated. Mentions things like that in the journal. The navigational charts look very familiar.
Okay.
It looks like they were also navigating from Britain to America.
Okay. It seems to have been passenger.
It was a ship that had passengers, yes.
Okay.
Oddly similar to your, ship, as it were.
Is there a... I'm probably gonna have to roll for this.
Mm-hmm.
I want to take a look through the log for anything of important note, especially towards the end. And
All right.
then I also want to take a look around the room to see A, what else I can find and deduce from the room, but specifically also looking for a passenger manifest.
All right. Go ahead and roll investigate.
Four.
All right.
Nice.
You are able to discern a lot of information from the log as you sit there reading while also trying to figure other things out. And it mentions the same sort of experience you guys had, where there was a very sudden storm and the ship lost altitude without much reason that they could figure out. And it mentions something about landing and making camp and trying to figure out what had happened. Something had torn holes in their air balloon, but they set up camp, as surely they thought that once everyone realized they hadn't landed in America, that a search party would come for them. And it describes a sort of general descent of the morale of the crew as more and more time passed without any sign of rescue. And then the remaining pages are all torn out. You're not able to find any sort of crew manifest. There appears to have been one at some point. Using your amazing detective skills, you discern that there's like the captain's desk, and there's a spot where a book was for a very long time, and it's just gone now.
Does it look like it was taken recently?
Probably.
Like there's like a spot where there's like no dust.
There's a spot where there's less dust.
Less dust. Okay. Okay. The other thing I would ask is, did I happen to find, you said I was able to find that they were, like, traveling from, England to America.
Mm-hmm.
Is there something indicating their charted course?
Yeah, with the navigational aids, there would be a map that has their charted course, and it is, in fact, exactly the same as the original Icarus's charted course.
And that's like just like a map on the table?
Yeah.
Okay.
And as you're going through looking for all this stuff, one of the doors to the cabin to the bridge opens, and you see Dell walk in.
Ah, there you two are.
I'm glad that someone heard our signal.
If you call 3 shots in the dark a signal, had us worried you ran into something.
Well, that was indeed the signal. We
Like dangerous, I meant, but then again, you found something hella weird here.
well, yes, taking a look, it looks like, this, was the first airship that, left, England for, America in, 22.
That can't be right. Thought the Icarus was supposed to be the first airship.
Well, that's, what, I'm familiar with as well. Taking a look, I've been, looking through some of the logs here. There are signs that something tore holes in their air balloon. Did our Icarus use an air balloon?
Yes,
Yep.
It's similar to a Zeppelin.
Okay.
We didn't have a hole torn in ours. We had the hull
Yeah.
breached in ours.
I was gonna say, does this one seem, from what I was able to gather, does it seem to run the same as ours, or different mechanisms?
It looked fairly similar from what you could tell.
Okay. Yes, no, there are notes here that they ran into similar situation as ours, some kind of storm. Holes were torn in the air balloon. They started to lose altitude prior to that for no discernible reason, and eventually crashed down here. There seems to have been more in the log, but it looks like some of the pages were torn out at the back.
I do have a question. Ashton, are you holding this book up as you're explaining to him?
Yes.
Dell, you see Ashton holding a old, weathered book that looks like most of the paper is rotted out of it.
Yeah, very little information in that for certain. You're all lucky y'all gleaned anything out of that at all.
I mean, we might be able to make use of the ship's components. It's in a lot better situation than our ship is. The only problem, of course, being the weather balloon. Might be easier to bring our balloon over here and hook it up to this ship.
Also, it looks like we have the maps here. Their course was the same as ours.
I will note, Dell, it is absolutely not in better condition. Even the bridge here is just in terrible shape.
There's no way this whole wreck is flying.
Yeah, Doyle and Ashton, this is, pretty well preserved, actually.
What do you mean? I mean, surely we can even use the pipes and everything from here.
It's in fairly good condition still.
The only thing damaged seems to be the balloon itself.
Out of curiosity, what is the state of this boat to you?
Oh, it's fairly well preserved. It looks like it wasn't really susceptible to at least the interior at the very least, any of the weather.
All the wood is in good, solid condition. I mean, and I kind of poke the ground with the poker as well.
Yeah, Doyle, you're not really making any dent. Dell, you watch as he pushes the poker into some of the soft, semi-rotten wood, pulls it out, and looks at it like nothing happened.
I'm seeing a rotting ship that isn't flown for over 5 years that's been rotting here.
20, I think.
So unless one of us is got some type of, I want to say, curse, if you two are much more in that field,
Oh well,
I'm going to have to say that this ship ain't flying nowhere.
I can certainly see if I can deduce anything, and I'll start doing my mumbo jumbo.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I ain't gonna believe any of that hand waving.
You get used to it after a while.
And the GM is rolling dice.
No, I'm just having fun. You'll continue.
Okay. I was also looking for a passenger manifest. It looks like there should have been one here, but it was taken fairly recently, which would at the very least indicate that there's been someone else on the island still alive, at least in recent times.
I don't know necessarily about that. I mean, this thing's been here for 20 years at least,
Well, I
which
mean,
does make me surprised as to how good of condition it is.
Well, I mean, we look over here, you can see, like, over here on the captain's table, it's pretty clogged with dust, except for this one area where it looks like there should have been a book, and there's not a whole lot of dust, so I mean, maybe anywhere from a couple of weeks to a couple of months ago. If I'm interpreting your layers of dust correctly, Taylor.
Yes.
Okay. That was a sentence. But I figure if we take the maps, cross-reference them with our own in the navigation, should, barring being blown off course at all. Should be able to get a rough idea of where exactly we are.
That I can agree with. At least if y'all are able to see whatever's on those things. But
I mean,
as far as salvaging anything off of here, Jonathan and I have already got a plan on getting a smaller boat.
Johnson.
Johnson and I have a plan on salvaging what we can off the Icarus to create a steamboat at the very least that'll hopefully get us back over to England. Any extra piping and whatnot we can salvage from this will definitely be of use.
Well, I mean,
His name is canonically Jonathan Johnson now.
Oh, well, I figured there should be a considerable amount we can salvage from this.
I mean, do you really see just a rotting ship?
I am literally seeing a rotting ship here. That,
What about this poker I'm holding?
It sunk into the wood when you pressed it into the floor.
But it looks like it's in decent condition, right?
It's not what I'm seeing. And I don't know if it's something wrong with me or if it's something wrong with
No,
you.
I'm talking about the poker itself.
Does the poker look dilapidated and rusted at all?
It looks kind of rusted, but like the core of the metal looks fine.
I mean, it's rusted a little bit, but it's pretty decent.
Which to you is particularly surprising because saltwater air is really bad for iron.
Yeah.
So, from what you're seeing, either this poker somehow escaped the rotting that the rest of the ship was subject to, or it, like, the rotting is for a different reason than proximity to sea air.
Well, if I had to guess, I'd say that the differences we're seeing is caused by the malicious spirits and energy of this island, and this area could be manipulating our sight a little bit, manipulating our senses. I don't know what purpose it would have for doing that, especially if it's not doing it to all of us the same.
Here's what look.
Because from what we're seeing, when he's trying to scratch the hardwood here, it's taking a considerable amount of effort to even put a scratch in it, let alone push it through what you're saying is rotting wood.
Either way, this is enough oogie-boogie for me to say we need to get off this island. And
Well,
quickly.
I'm
That
gonna-
I can agree with.
I'm
Let's
gonna-
go on ahead, head back to the camp.
I'm-
Or at least we know this thing's here when we get, so that we can send somebody back to reconfirm who's correct on the state of it.
Were there any lifeboats left?
In this ship? No. The other ship? Like, the ones you brought to shore with you and Doyle and, like, one other person.
Well, I'd say with the oddities happening, I think if I may present an alternative course of action, I think at least one of us should stay here. Well, one or two of us, the others go and collect a lifeboat, bring it over. We can get these maps and this logbook off the ship. I don't know what you're seeing, but from what we're seeing, this is a perfectly fine map that, at the very least, seems to match the map we have, with their charted course on it. And I mean, this logbook, other than the pages ripped out at the very end, is still in perfectly fine condition. With
Yeah.
sorry.
stop reading those potato
My talking is breaking because of the sound of dice constantly coming through my headset.
Apologies for that.
Dell, share some of those potato chips you found.
With the crew and the passenger manifest missing, I'd be inclined to keep an eye on them, lest these go missing somehow by the time we get back.
I mean, why not just bring them with us?
Because we have to swim back to shore.
Yeah, we'll need. It'll be better to have a lifeboat for that. I'd like to have Johnson come over here to verify what I see. If he says that if he says that he sees the same as you two, I'll take his word on it. We'll see what we can do with what we've got. But I'm sorry, from where I'm standing here, I see nothing but a dilapidated wreck.
Well, we can also take a look through some of the other parts of the ship. I do have a map of the ship that we got from the lounge.
Mind if I see that map?
I'll show him the map.
How bad is it?
The map
Taylor?
is actually probably in pretty good condition since it was in glass.
Yeah, the map's like faded, but not terrible.
This is actually in a lot better condition.
Well, it was behind glass in the lounge.
How'd that do it?
I'm just gonna retcon and say I broke it with my cane.
Yeah.
I broke the glass with my cane to get the map out.
I don't like the idea of leaving somebody here to watch the thing.
Well, let's reinforce that dislike. Everyone roll athletics real quick.
Uh-oh.
See who's the fastest dodger and who... okay.
No, Ashton's getting hit.
Ashton,
That
you
tracks.
feel something wrap around your ankle. Dell and Doyle. Doyle, you see what looks like some sort of like desiccated hand phase through the ground and grab Ashton's ankle. Dell, you see it burst through the rotten wood, grab Ashton's ankle. And both of you watch as he is dragged through the floor.
Son of a bitch!
All right, that's where we're stopping. We'll learn combat next time.
I was going to stay, but...
Yeah, I was gonna say, if I feel something wrap around my ankle and pull me into the floor, could I try to hit at whatever was grabbing me with my cane?
Yes.
But we're going to
Next
do that
time.
next
Next
session.
time, okay.
Yes.